Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. In the upper left corner, we got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, College Cottrell.
Gentlemen, it is a lovely Wednesday. You know, it's finally among us. You know, we get to finally get that stench of the last game of the regular season off of us. So I'm excited. You know, I'm excited to talk a lot of college football today. And yeah, Bill, you really can't relate here. You know, you've had your fun for the last few weeks. That's about over with. But yeah, I'm excited.
Who does Michigan play in the bowl?
Alabama.
Oh, that's a good bowl game. That'll be a fun bowl game. You guys beat Alabama. That'll be really good for you guys, right? What's the spread, like 17?
Something like that.
Upper right corner, Scholastic Shally, Uncle Shally, Mr. William Shawcross.
I mean, Ohio State was 20.5, so, I mean, sometimes numbers just don't mean as much as they should.
Bro, I'm rooting for the Big Ten. I'm rooting for the Big Ten.
Regardless. Still sleeping soundly at night with my national championship and my 4-year win streak over Ohio State. So we will, we will continue to going into the Christmas season still very merry and cheerful.
I think that we'll get our national championship this year in Penn State, and then that Cottrell can, try to get his next year. We'll see how that works out for him. Looks like Drew Auer might be coming back another year at Penn State. I was a little upset that Bo Prisbilla was transferring out of Penn State, and then I realized that Drew's coming back. That's why. Well, Our Nation.
I think it's a mistake, but that's just
probably
my opinion.
Sorry, it's not a mistake for me. It's not a mistake for Penn State. It's not a mistake for Nittany Lion Nation.
No, I mean, listen, it gives them a huge leg up on a year where the next three best teams in the conference are all going to be starting a new quarterback one way or the other. So, yeah, I mean, if you're a Penn State fan, it's definitely something to grasp onto for sure.
Talking about Happy Valley Nation. I'm just having fun right
now. Gene acting like he belongs to fan groups and stuff now.
Bro, I have I think I have like a James Franklin sweatshirt in my closet. Some jerk off spent money on that. I don't know.
Part of me, I mean, honest to God, part of me hopes they do win it, because you will have to kiss that man's ass for the rest of your life.
I will not have to kiss anyone's ass. I am a fair weather Penn State fan, and you understand that. I'm not going the parade, bro. We're not traveling to Happy Valley for a W.
A lot of people are going. So you bring a national championship home, man. I mean, it's kind of hard to ignore.
Did you go to the one at U of M?
If it was closer, I would have.
I'm just kidding with you. I'm not going. We got a fun show to talk about. We're going to lead off with college football this week, man. It's a little CFB, a little college football. Got the playoffs starting this week. Friday night, Battle of Indiana. Notre Dame, Indiana. In Indiana. In Notre Dame. Guys, I'm fired up. I don't know what to tell you. I'm in a good mood. Cottrell, because we're leading off with college football, as soon as we get to college football, I say, direct me, Captain. Where are we going?
Yeah, so I mean, with this week being, college football playoff, kicking off, of course, got to get the bracket pulled up here. I mean, I think it's only right that we ultimately start with, wait, this isn't the correct bracket, is it?
It is not.
No, it's not the right one. Let me go.
Yeah, we're not playing New Mexico, Arizona State.
Let me grab that real quick here. But
what is going on?
You definitely have to start with Indiana and Notre Dame.
Indiana, Notre Dame. Shally, let me ask you a question real quick. Why Cottrell fixes his amateur hour bracket. What are you looking at for Indiana, Notre Dame? I think it's going to be a one-sided game. I think you think it's going to be a one-sided game. So I'd like to compile on the snow and see if Cottrell can come out at a snowball fight, because the truth is this: Notre Dame's a better football team. They're better defensively. Their quarterback's more seasoned. Riley Leonard listen, I think Notre Dame might win 2 games in this college football playoff, let alone 1. I think they win 2 games. They might go out and beat Georgia. I think Notre Dame runs through this game. I don't think it's that close. Friday night in Notre Dame, blowout. Walk through.
I'm not going to go there. Walk through. I mean, listen. I think the important thing for Indiana is how they start. You're going to have 2 football teams that are going to be in a place where they don't have really anybody on the roster either way that's kind of been in any kind of high stakes football game like this. So obviously that advantage kind of always leads towards the home team with the home field advantage, the crowd, everything else. Listen, I've been very outspoken against Indiana. I give them credit for being here. I personally don't really, still not convinced that they should be. But that being said, it is what it is, and it's done, and it's time to play the football game. I think Notre Dame's better. I think what Notre Dame does well defensively is going to give Indiana trouble. I think if they can generate pressure up front and get work off the spot, that's a huge advantage for them. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball too successfully against Notre Dame's front 7. And then on top of everything else, when you switch sides of the field, we talked about Riley Leonard, who the last month and a half has played just outstanding football, however you want to slice it. And that 2-headed rushing attack, I think, is just going to wear Indiana down. I think Notre Dame is just going to pound them. You saw what Michigan did to them, in a losing cause. And the following week, they played Ohio State, and both Judkins and Travion Henderson, had great success running the ball pretty much just straight at them. I think that's what Notre Dame's going to do. I expect a double-digit victory. Not going to call it a walkthrough, but like I said, I think Notre Dame is definitely the better football team. Debut in New Jerseys for this apparently, which we haven't seen yet, but they've been hinting at it. First home playoff game ever in the history of that stadium. It's going to be packed. It's going to be a crazy environment. I just think Notre Dame comes up.
Who's debuting New Jerseys?
Notre Dame.
No, that's a bad idea.
No, it's
not.
not.
New Jersey night's always a loss. You never debut New Jerseys in a big game. It's a terrible idea.
They're apparently wearing black, so we'll see. It's.
Are they headed to a funeral?
Indiana's maybe. But I think touchdown Jesus and everybody will be in full effect, and that's again it's gonna be a fun environment. I think it's a great game they picked off to start the college football playoff, and like I said, I think Notre Dame wins rather convincingly.
I think they blow them out too. I think it's not a close game. I think it's double digits. I think it's the easiest game to pick on the board. I think Notre Dame's better everywhere. Cottrell, why am I wrong?
So I mean, I would say the biggest thing for me is Notre Dame. They did look impressive, throughout the season there. You have to give them their credit there. But I look at how they looked against teams that can actually pass the football, and that's what gives me reason to think that this game it can actually be close. I look at their game, this season against USC, and it's like, hey, well, that was a game where USC scored 35 points. They also had 2 pick sixes in that game. And, Notre Dame ultimately won 49-35. And, to me, it feels like if USC's quarterback would have been able to keep control of the ball, that game would have been even tighter than what it was. Not to mention that was their second quarterback that they were playing there. Hadn't really had many starts. And after Miller Moss had got benched there. So I think for me that this is going to be a game where you see Indiana take shots on that Notre Dame defense, and they ultimately, try to get those explosive plays. The one thing you got to remember about that Notre Dame defense is, as good as it is, they've been without their best cornerback, Ben Morrison, for, a better half of 2 months at this point. He's not coming back. He's out for the season with an injury, and I think that plays into what Indiana wants to do. Indiana wants to pass the ball and throw the ball up and down the field on you. And, I think for this Indiana team, on the flip side of that as well, you talk about what they can do defensively. Indiana's actually, I'd say the strength of their defense is stopping the run. You could talk about that Michigan game or even the Ohio State game. for the most part, they did a pretty good job of keeping both of those teams at bay, really in terms of not letting up the huge explosive plays on the ground there. So I think this is actually going to be a really close game here. And I like Indiana to pull the little 10-7 upset here to move on to face a Georgia team in the second round.
I'm going to push back a little bit on some things you said. I think Indiana, when you throw the football, is 100% accurate. I'm not disagreeing on that. But they have to be able to run the ball so teams can't stack the box. If you let Notre Dame just rush 4 and drop everybody all game long, that's disaster for Indiana. And then on top of that, I think you're comparing USC's receivers with Indiana's. That's a little bit of a difference there. Talking about 2 5-star kids that are both been pulled now for USC. Indiana does not have that, and their best receiver, or their second best receiver, isn't even going to play in this game. So, again, I'm not saying Indiana can't win. Don't get me wrong. I haven't been super high on Notre Dame all year long either. So, but I think the one thing Gene mentioned that I think a lot of people aren't mentioning, I think everybody's looking at Penn State and assuming Penn State has the easiest kind of path here, and I don't think Notre Dame's far behind. If we're being honest, if Georgia was full strength, I think I would disagree. But I think if Notre Dame gets past Indiana, I do agree with Gene. I think they have a really good shot to go beat Georgia on a neutral site, because I don't think Carson Beck's going to play. So that being said, like I said, I still think Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame wins this game very comfortably.
Well, it doesn't even have to necessarily just be. You talk about the receivers all you want to, but I'd say quarterback play, Curtis Rourke is, I'd say 2 steps ahead of where Jaden Maeva was at that point of him going into that game against Notre Dame there. And again, I think if you don't turn the ball over against that Notre Dame team, you've seen teams have had success, against them. We talked about it on Coast to Coast when they were going up against Army or going up against Navy. If you turn the ball over against this Notre Dame team, they will make you pay with that. Well, the good thing for Indiana is that Curtis Rourke doesn't really turn the ball over. I think he's got 4 interceptions in the entire season. So I think if you can take care of the ball there, and even if it comes to a point where Notre Dame is just running the ball consistently, and that's chewing up a lot of clock, in a way that kind of plays into Indiana's hands there, because in I'd say a yucky kind of game where you're counting possessions and things like that, if you have the more explosive offense in the sense of you can score quicker, that kind of plays into your hands there. So it gives you less opportunities to turn the ball over as well. So I just think this game is going to actually be really close, and I think Indiana ultimately pulls it off. I think they've been hearing about how they don't belong here. They've been hearing that for weeks at this point, and I think that's going to show in the game on Friday.
Look, just for reference, Indiana's first 10 games, Curtis Rourke averages 21 for 29 for roughly 270 yards, about 2.5 touchdowns per game, and about 1 interception. The last 2 weeks when they played Michigan, he went 17 for 28 for 206, 2-1. And the final week against Ohio State, he was 8 for 18 for 68 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. QBR of 43. The week before was 47. I'll say what I continue to say about this. This team's played 2 good football teams, and they've looked awful in both of those football games. They should have lost to Michigan. They got thumped by Ohio State. They're going to go play another very good defense, Notre Dame.
You're thinking that Notre Dame defense is Ohio State or Michigan's defense. They're good. Don't get me wrong, but
I think they're better than Western Carolina. They're better than Charlotte. They're better than Purdue.
I think they're just as good as Michigan's defense.
No, they're not.
I do.
No, they're not.
They're not. But they're good. They're still good. If they were full strength, they're very good. But again,
I think they're going to be able to run the ball very well with Jeremiah Love. I think Jeremiah Love, the way he's played for them, he's run. I think he averages like 6, 7, 8 yards per carry, and he's got a home run threat. He's got a 50-yard. He's got a touchdown every game he's played. And if you want to take it a step further, he's got over a 40-yard touchdown in 6 of his last 10 games. Like, the guy's a home run threat. You have Riley Leonard. They are dual threat. They play good defense. Notre Dame's better. They're better.
I mean, You say that. I look at the game. Against Ohio State. I mean, they gave up 150 yards on 30 carries, and then the game against Michigan. What was the final number here? You look at the rushing. Michigan only had 69 yards on 34 carries. So I mean, you could talk about
with no quarterback and
I
driving
get it.
driving to win the game.
I get it, but Michigan can still run the football. Like, let's not act like Michigan wasn't able to
get it.
run the football throughout the season.
My bigger thing was, which is exactly what it was before we went into that game, and you and Alex kept yelling and saying they're averaging 44 points a game. They're doing this. They're doing that. They play two good teams where they're average. They're averaging 14 points a game against two good defenses in Ohio State and Michigan. Notre Dame has a good defense. They're not elite, but it's facts, dude. They didn't play anybody until those last 2 weeks, and they got shown exactly who they are. And that again, I really don't have to sit here and keep arguing. Like, it's been proven on the field.
Is Indiana better than Northern Illinois?
Bro, you keep bringing up a blip in the radar. They lost week 2 to Northern Illinois as a letdown game. Come on, dude. A letdown game after winning at College Station, and then all they've done is blow everybody else out the rest of the year.
Hey, you know who else who have they really played though outside of the USC game?
Army and Navy were good teams when they were playing Notre Dame that week, but then after Notre Dame kicked the shit out of them, they're no longer good teams.
Do you know why that is? Because they also. Oh, I don't care about the rankings. You're talking about being ranked. You know who else is ranked? Missouri. Guess what?
But they were ranked this year.
A&M kicked the shit out of them. That doesn't make it a good football
when they
team.
were playing them, and then they kicked the shit out of them, and nobody cares anymore.
But that's the thing, though, Gene. When you watch the games, and you can see, hey, this team had no business being on the field with them. Like, it's one thing if, like, you know,
it's not
Notre
just,
Dame
it's
blows
not just winning games. They're beating the shit out of teams. Bro, like, I know Florida State stinks this year. I get it. But 52-3, there's got to be 3, 4, 5 4-star, 5-star kids at Florida State. They're not a terrible program. They were just undefeated last year.
They won 2 games this year. They're terrible.
I understand, but 52-3.
Terrible program.
Okay. We'll see this week after they blow them out. And they are a terrible program. You're right. They're a terrible program that Florida only beat by 20, that Miami only beat by 20, by Duke only beat by 7, by Clemson only beat by 16, a college football playoff team, and Notre Dame beat them by 50. Like, I get what you're saying, but, like, the way you beat teams matter.
All right, so are you picking Notre Dame to go to college football final then?
I'm picking them to lose to Penn State in the semifinals.
Why losing to Penn State? They blew out everybody else, so
because
Penn State didn't blow out everybody. Penn State didn't blow out everybody though, so who cares?
Because Penn State's better than them. Penn State's defense will slow down that run game. That's what will happen when Penn State plays Notre Dame. And we'll get into that, and that's fine.
I just haven't seen anything against a good team that just warrants any kind of confidence in Indiana for me.
Okay, and I am okay with that. But to act like Notre Dame beating the hell out of Army and Navy and whoever the hell else they played this year is hypocritical. Because I mean, Indiana just beat Purdue. You want to talk about good programs? Purdue is a good program. They won 2 games this year and they beat them 66-0.
I mean, I think the point more so is I think outside of Ohio State and Michigan, I think Army and Navy, you could probably argue, beats everybody else
SMU doesn't play Notre Dame.
Indiana's schedule.
But how do you have SMU beating Notre Dame and then you have Indiana over
in
Notre
Dame? In the semi.
Yeah, but he's got Indiana beating Notre Dame, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so he's saying Indiana and SMU later on. Oh wait, okay. I see what you're saying.
Rudy's a scumbag.
SMU's going to Pittsburgh. It's not in Pittsburgh. It's in Happy Valley. It's going to be almost 50 in Happy Valley. It will be a dogfight because Franklin and Al are mid-level. Okay.
I don't think it's going to be 50 in Happy Valley. It's supposed to be like 20 degrees here, so it's going to be even colder up in the mountains.
Yeah, it's going to be like.
I mean, it's a geography lesson.
It's going to be like 20 degrees here in Columbus too, so it's going to be pretty cold this weekend.
So everything in between. So and Penn State is up in the mountains, so there's no way it's anything but freezing freaking cold for that football game on Saturday.
It says 26 is a high and 14 is a low, and it might snow.
There you go. That is advantage Penn State.
What are we talking about? Guys, what are we talking about? I'm done. Next game.
I mean, we're there. We might as well go there then.
Might as well. Yeah, let's say you open the can, so we're here. Listen, I
just looked. It's not 49. In Pennsylvania, do you know where in Pennsylvania it's at?
Yeah.
It's a big state.
It is a big state. Listen, all kidding aside, and all and all joking about the weather and everything else. I think SMU is a very live dog here. I do. I think they're a very good football team. I think they're going to be able to. I think they're going to be able to give Penn State problems. I do. I'm picking Penn State to win the football game. I think Penn State's just a little better at everything that SMU does well. I think they'll be able to slow down the rushing attack. I think Abdul Carter, as long as they don't use him as a freaking spy again or something like that, I think he'll be able to get pressure on SMU's quarterback. I think Drew has a big day. I really do. I think Singleton, I think they'll be able to run the ball. They're a two-headed monster. That's one thing Clemson did very well against SMU. They ran the ball. I think Penn State's going to try to do the same thing. I hope it's not a tight game at the end because you always know that wild card gets put into play then with the guy with the headset on Penn State's sideline. But I think, well, I mean, it's true. I mean, it's
that's great coach.
That being said, I wish SMU would have won the ACC because I think they would have been the 3 or 4 seed, and then they wouldn't have. SMU got a bad seeding here. I mean, obviously they
didn't get bad seeding. They lost the ACC championship. They got a great seeding. They're in the playoff. Incorrect.
If you would have let me finish, that's exactly what I was going to say. They were fortunate to still get in, which was the right decision. But to run into Penn State is not ideal in the first round in Happy Valley. Is my point. But I think this is a good football game. I do. I really think. I don't think SMU is going to get blown out. I don't think they're going to fade or go away or roll over here. I think they're in it in the second half. I think Penn State's just a little bit too much in the fourth quarter. I'll take Penn State like 31-20, like 31-20, something like that.
Well, I'm rolling with Penn State here, and I like them big. I actually think this is going to probably be the most lopsided game this weekend. I think SMU has been a really good team, and I'm happy they got in the playoff. I was campaigning for them to get in the playoff here. I think this is a bad matchup, though. I look at what Penn State has defensively, and I look at how Clemson played this SMU team, just a couple weeks ago. And I get it. SMU came back in that second half there. I also think that Clemson isn't that good of a football team. Just a little foreshadowing there. So for that game to look how it did, I think Penn State is 2 steps at this point above that Clemson team. And I think what Clemson does well, Penn State does better. I mean, you look at the defenses, Penn State has a better defense. Look at the quarterback position, Drew Aller, I'm taking over Cade Klubnik. Obviously, the rushing attack between Allen and Singleton, I'm definitely taking above Maffa at Clemson. So I like Penn State. I like them to roll pretty big here. I think Kevin Jennings is going to turn the ball over a couple times, and James Franklin is going to let the dogs loose. So I think Penn State wins a pretty convincing game here, and it's gonna annoy me because you're gonna hear a lot of people talking about, see, this is why we should have put Bama in. This wouldn't have happened if Bama was there, and that's just not where we should be right now.
Well, you're absolutely right. But I think
Bama's a worse matchup for Penn State than SMU is. I think Penn State would beat Bama by more than they're going to beat SMU.
Maybe. But one thing I will tell you is this. I know my James Franklin, and my James Franklin is going to find a way to keep this game close for no apparent reason whatsoever. If it's a big game and they need to win, he'll keep it close and lose. If it's a game they're supposed to win by 20, he'll keep it close and barely win. I think Penn State wins the football game because I think Aller and I think Penn State as an overall team is better. And if Drew Aller is mid, I don't know who's not mid. You got about 6 quarterbacks in the country that might be better than him. Let's stop that. Drew Aller's a good quarterback.
I don't think it's 6.
Well, okay. How many is it?
Well, I mean, we were actually kind of talking about this a little bit earlier.
You got Franklin, not Franklin. You got Cam. I said Franklin. I'm looking at the comment. You got Cam Ward. You got Shador. After that, I think the door is open.
I think Quinn Ewers is better than him.
I mean, it's a discussion.
Yeah, but I think, yeah.
But my point being is, all right, if I was being conservative and said 6 quarterbacks, that's not
sure.
that's not mid.
No. There's nothing mid about him. The reason they had hype coming into this year was because of Drew Aller coming back.
The only thing I don't like about the Penn State team, I feel like every time they're in a big situation, like I still don't know why Aller threw that ball down the sideline when they finally had the opportunity. They got the ball. They're going all up and down the field. Oregon couldn't stop them all day. Penn State's going up and down the field. He throws a bomb. Like, why are we doing that? It was so dumb.
I don't necessarily agree with the decision. The bigger problem with that pass is he just underthrew it. I mean, if he literally puts it on the back pylon where his guy can run underneath it, or it's an incomplete, it's a different story.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you in regards to running the ball, because
they're running the ball for like 8 yards a carry.
We're all over the place. But
I also think it's different too, because like I think that was a great learning experience for him, because I mean, to that point, like, yeah, you faced Ohio State twice, but you haven't been in a game that big before. Like, you're trying to go out, probably be the hero, go win the Big Ten, things like that. So I think that was a great learning experience for him as a redshirt sophomore. You don't want him to still have learning experiences, but I think that was a great moment to get him ready for this playoff, because you're going to have other big moments that you need to be ready for.
Oh, and by the way, Detroit, Mr. Detroit, my man Jeremy, Dallas teams don't come into Pennsylvania and win. Mark that shit down.
Dallas teams don't do much of winning of anywhere right now.
But yeah, I don't think he's going to be in this quarterback class, though, Jeremy. I think he's going to stay at Penn State another year.
It's very interesting on the names that are looking like they're coming back next year out of nowhere all of a sudden. That's a different
Quinn might transfer portal out, stay in college. It'll be interesting. All right, move on to the next game. Where are we going, Cottrell?
I mean, it makes sense to just go in order there. Go to a 4:00 game, Clemson and Texas.
Wow, I'll be quick here. Texas is going to win this game. Probably going to win them by a lot. Clemson won the game they had to win. Got to give them credit for getting it done. Got in the playoff. The reward is to go to Austin and play in front of Texas and that crowd. I think Texas in that secondary is going to shut Klubnik down. I think Clemson's going to have a really tough time moving the ball with any sort of consistency against that defense. I think Quinn will pop one or two here and there. I think Texas gets up, not huge, but I think they get up by probably 14, 17 points. They probably coast. I think they win by at least 10. I like Texas easy here.
I like Texas to blow them out, too. I think Texas is one of the best teams in college football. I think you guys underrate them. I think they're way better than you guys give them credit for. I know you just said, well, I think that Texas is a very, very good football team. I told you, I think there's 3 teams that can win the college football playoff this year. It's Oregon, Ohio State, and Texas. They're the 3 best teams in the nation. Penn State would be 4th and a distant 4th. Give me Texas in this one in a blowout.
Yeah, I'm rolling with Texas as well in this one. I mean, Texas is just the better football team. I think that with the way Clemson's offense has really looked so far throughout this season, you just don't know what you're going to get from them. I think the way Texas' defense has looked on the flip side is they've kind of been up and down, but the way they looked in the SEC championship game, even before Beck got hurt there, I mean, I love the way that those guys were flying around there. And for me, I think the biggest point in this game is that Texas is the better football team, like all around. I don't know if there's any position where, Clemson has a decisive advantage where I could even see them potentially keeping this game close. So I think this is one of those games. I don't know if it's going to necessarily be like a huge blowout in terms of, Texas wins by 35 or anything like that. But I think Texas is consistently ahead, at least two possessions, and this game is never in doubt.
Look, I'll make it very clear when I say this. I think that there's going to be 3 blowouts that happen, and I think Penn State will be the only team that's not a blowout. So,
well, that leads us into the night game.
Yeah, you made it into your main event. It's not really the main event, but you made it into the main event.
I've been very. If this to me, this is the easiest game to pick on the board.
When you say remember the name, we've been talking about Dylan Sampson all year. I'm a casual college fan, and I know Dylan Sampson's a good running back.
And Ohio State shut down Michigan. They had one chunk run. Outside of that, Michigan didn't run the ball that well on Ohio State. So
I like Ohio State in this game by a million.
So do I. I mean, the issue for me on defense or offense for Tennessee is not going to be the running. I think I'll be able to run the ball a little bit. I think I'll be able to run the ball enough to be effective. I think the issue is I think Ohio State is going to keep Nico in the pocket, and they're going to make him throw the ball to beat him. Both times it's happened this year where either a team has put a spy on Nico or just contain him and not let him run wild and make plays with his legs. Tennessee's offense has struggled mightily in both of those games. And coincidentally or not, both of those games were losses for Tennessee. That's the key to it. If you let Nico sit back there and run around and, drop 8 into coverage and let him run for 12, 15 yards, a drop back, and then let him throw the ball on top of that, Tennessee's very dangerous. If you keep him in the pocket and make him a pocket passer, he still becomes a little ordinary. You got to remember, he's still a young kid. He's a freshman. He's going to be a star. I mean, he's borderline already a star, but I think Ohio State with their experience, with who they have in the back end with Caleb Downs and Burke and all those guys, I just think they're going to be too much. I think Knowles is going to give him a lot of different things to look at as well, which is going to confuse him. I don't think Tennessee can run the ball enough and to stay in this game. I don't think this game unfolds. Tennessee would almost need like the game to unfold kind of like the Michigan game did, in my opinion, to kind of be in this. And I just don't see that happening. I would hope, after stewing on that loss for a couple of weeks, that they come out a little bit differently in this game at home under the lights. You would think they would. I said when these matchups came out and regardless of the spreads, this was the one that I looked at. I thought this was the easiest game to pick. I think this has the potential to be the biggest blowout. So I like Ohio State here.
I don't think this game's close. I really don't. And I'll go right to Cottrell here. I think that as a whole, Ohio State, especially when they have time to prepare, it's the only time Ryan Day looks really good in big games, when he has extra weeks to prepare. He has extra weeks to prepare. Think back last year versus Georgia, or 2 years ago versus Georgia. Think back when he has time to prepare for the college football playoff. Ohio State always looks better when Ryan Day has time to prepare. He's had extra time to prepare. They're going to beat Tennessee. It's not going to be close.
Agreed. And I think the biggest thing for me is, and granted, I still don't like the guy, but what I heard from Chip Kelly, it gives me reason to be excited about the game. Chip Kelly came out and basically said, "Hey, I realized that we should have threw the ball more against that Michigan team." And I mean, I will say Ryan Day would have never came out and said that. So I'm glad Chip realizes that they messed that up there. So I'm expecting them to throw the ball a lot more in the game, get the ball to the playmakers in space, and make Tennessee, tackle those guys. And on the flip side of that as well, I think we've talked about the environment in all of these games so far outside of the Texas one. I think it's going to matter in this one. Tennessee coming up north. Everything that I've been seeing, this is projected to be the coldest game that Tennessee's played in since the 70s. So I do think that is going to play a factor for, SEC team coming up north. And, I think they will try to rely on the running, but this is a team that can throw the ball even in the cold conditions there. So I think this is a game that won't necessarily be close either. Similar to how I see the Texas and Clemson game, I think it's consistently 2 possessions. I don't think Ohio State ever just, unleashes the dogs and goes full, 3-4 possession game on Tennessee. But I think Ohio State's going to have a clear, firm grasp on this game and take care of business at home.
Oh, and if you're looking and comparing games throughout the year, unanimously Oregon's the best team in football, right? Everyone can admit that. Oregon was undefeated. They're number 1 team in the nation. I watched Ohio State play at Oregon, in Oregon, play a game that I felt like they outplayed Oregon in and lost by 1 point. So, we'll see. That's what I got. Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame. We're talking about it next week.
Yeah, I mean, I got 3 of the same 4, and I think Bill's got all the same 4 issues. So,
Correct.
almost agree across the board.
All right. So, I by the way, I think that we'll talk about it obviously when it happens, but I think Ohio State beats Tennessee, loses to Oregon, and Mike Vrabel is the next coach of the Ohio State University.
Now, if they lose, I will say, as much as I've been clamoring for that change there, if they lose to Oregon, depending on how that game's go, they wouldn't fire them.
They're out of their mind if they don't.
I'm telling you, if they win that game against Tennessee and lose to a team who would probably go on to win the national championship, they're not firing Ryan Day.
I'll tell you right. What do you think, Joe?
If they beat Tennessee, I think he's safe. It would have to be very ugly in that Oregon game, I think, for somebody to make the decision to pull the plug. Like, I think they'd have to lose like 49-7 or something. Like, I think it would have to be of that magnitude for them to make a change. I would say next year that he comes in,
he's not 0-4 against Michigan either.
No, he's 1-4 with all Urban's kids. It would be I think he would be on extremely thin ice next year, though. It would be like it'll be to the point that as soon as he loses the game next year, if he does or whenever he does, like, he will have to answer questions about his job probably every week. That's where it's going to be next year.
All right, let's move on to the NFL. Anything else college related?
No, I'm just pumped. I can't believe we're finally here.
Tune into a special episode of Coast to Coast Saturday morning. It's a special college football playoff edition.
They're all special, but yes, Saturday morning is going to be a fun show for sure.
Let's move on to the NFL, and the biggest news in the NFL. The Atlanta Falcons have made the switch at quarterback, moving on from Kirk Cousins to Michael Penix Jr. So I'm going to allow Cottrell to try to take a victory lap here.
I couldn't. I was hoping that you gave it to me. I was hoping. I was really hoping.
It's still an awful move.
No, it's not.
I'll explain to you why, but I'm going to let you do your victory lap.
Thank you.
And then after you do your
appreciate
victory
it.
lap, I'm going to tell you why you're wrong.
I am so happy you gave me the opportunity to take my victory lap here. So, I'll just keep it simple here. In April, told you guys I didn't hate the move because Kirk Cousins was a huge question mark because of the injury, and I get it. They're paying him a ton of money. Like, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see that being the case there. But this is an Atlanta Falcons team who could have really been stuck in a purgatory kind of situation if they finished the season 8-9 or 9-8, depending on how everything would have went the rest of the way with Kirk Cousins there. They wouldn't have been in a position to get a quarterback, and they wouldn't have had the money to spend on one. So I think, you have Kirk Cousins on the roster still. I don't think they're going to cut him after this season. I think he's just going to be an expensive backup. And then the following year, you're going to be able to cut him, similar to how what the Giants did with Daniel Jones. He basically signed the same kind of deal there. He had the guaranteed money, but after 2 years, you can cut bait and be good to go there. I think with Michael Penix Jr., right now, the Falcons are, I believe, 1 or 2 games out of the division against, right behind the Bucs there. If Michael Penix Jr. can come in and provide you with a spark and ultimately you make the playoffs, or even if you don't make the playoffs, even if you just finish strong, then you have your quarterback of the future there. So I think that was a move that ultimately protected them. I thought it was the right decision then. And now I think Michael Penix Jr. has the opportunity to go out and play and show that it's the right decision now.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Easy questions.
Sure.
Right? What was the last date? You don't have to be an exact date, just a roundabout date that Michael Penix played football in college. January
20th-ish.
What date do you think that the Atlanta Falcons knew they had the 8th pick?
I don't know. Right around then, probably. No,
okay.
Before then.
Okay. So how many workouts do you think that the Atlanta Falcons had with Michael Penix Jr. prior to, let's just say, middle of March?
I don't know. Don't care.
Probably a few, right? had time to test him out. Could have
Sure.
seen him afterwards, Senior Bowl. Like I didn't play in Senior Bowl, but like that's the time where you start scouting players after.
Sure.
Got all the tape on him. Had a month and a half worth of tape. Right? You knew if Michael Penix Jr. was special or not.
Okay.
How many quarterbacks were in this class? Did they trade up to get Michael Penix Jr.?
Nope. Stay pat.
So my question that I'm going to ask you is, what possessed them on March 11th after they knew all the information that they needed to know to give Kirk Cousins a 4-year, $180 million contract with $90 million guaranteed over the first 2 seasons, which means $45 million against the cap next year. And then afterwards, it'll be a $20 million cap, which is not bad for a quarterback that leaves your team after the second year. But my question would be, if you knew all that information, everything you've seen on Michael Penix Jr., and I'll give you 2 situations. One, do you think the Atlanta Falcons thought he was special? Do you think the Falcons thought he was special, Michael Penix Jr.?
I don't know what when you say special, what
special enough to draft in the top 10 in the NFL draft.
I think they thought he could be. I think they thought he was a franchise quarterback.
Okay, so when you draft a quarterback in the top 10, you don't have to be in love with that quarterback.
I mean, yeah, you do.
You're giving them the keys to their franchise, right?
For sure.
So they didn't know, they weren't in love with him enough to trade up for him. They weren't sure they were going to get him at 8.
Okay.
Yeah, and they paid a quarterback $180 million. So I think they panic picked. And now I feel like we're in a situation where the people that thought they were so smart on draft night are like, I was right. No, you weren't really, because they signed Kirk Cousins on March 13th for $180 million. They didn't think they had a quarterback problem.
So why'd they take one if they didn't think they would have a quarterback problem?
They panic picked.
No, that's not.
They panic picked.
You can't have it. You can't have it both ways here. I think literally what I said on draft night when they took him, like on the show that we had afterwards, I said they didn't know what Kirk Cousins would be. If he turned out that he was really good,
why would
that's
you sign him for
fine.
$180 million?
Because did we not on this exact show, did we not all 3 pick the Atlanta Falcons to go to the playoffs this year with Kirk Cousins?
Correct. Yes.
So you sign your quarterback to give you a chance to go to the playoffs and see what happens in the playoffs once you get there. We all think that they have one of the best young running backs in the game. We know that they have the weapons there. We love the hire of Raheem Morris and, the offensive minds they got with Zach Robinson and all of that.
Okay.
We thought it was a good enough hire where he would year 1 make it to the playoffs with Kirk Cousins and company. So had to have thought that there was at least a good hire there. So you pay the money, and if you're a billionaire at this point, Mara is showing you that Arthur Blank. Arthur Blank is showing you that all he wants to do is win. So if he wants to go out and spend his own money to do so, and he wants to give $90 million for a bridge quarterback, who are we to stop him? Who else could have came in and been the Falcons' bridge quarterback that could have potentially been better than Kirk Cousins?
I don't know. I know I wouldn't have signed a quarterback for $180 million if I didn't to be a bridge quarterback.
Yeah, I think the argument there is you don't pay anybody $90 million to be a bridge quarterback. If you go and bring Kirk Cousins in on a 1-year deal and pay him $30,
Kirk wasn't going to take that.
Correct. So
that is how you get.
Okay. My point is, at that point, then, if you think Penix is actually your franchise guy at 8, then you just let him play. I think it's questionable in this aspect. I think you're literally 1 game out of a playoff spot. You're 1 game out of winning the division. You don't know what you're going to get with him on Sunday or Saturday, whenever they play. I think it's a tough move to sell the locker room if he goes out there and stinks to join up. I think it's a lot of pressure to put on him being 1 game out, knowing that if you go out and lose the next 2 games, it's going to be probably a very negative reaction from within the locker room and obviously from outside. Their season's still in front of them if they win. And I'm not saying Kurt's playing well because he's not. But that being said, you still have a known quantity and a guy that, as bad as they played, they still beat the Raiders. They don't have a tough schedule left. I think it's a ballsy move to possibly want to get your rookie 3 games worth of reps and give up a playoff spot. I don't think Kirk goes out and loses more than one of those games. So if they go 2-1, they have a decent shot of getting in. Like I said, it's a roll of dice for me. I think it's a ballsy move to look in your locker room, though, and say, hey, we're 1 game out. We're going to go to the rookie now and see what he has. And, if he goes out, like I said, now if he goes out and plays well, then, they all look like geniuses, and it is what it is. But they got to start trying to figure out how to get rid of Kirk's dead money, I guess. But
okay. So hold on. I need to address what you just said and what he says. Look at Cousins' first 5 games. He leads the league in interceptions and fumbles. He's the AARP version of Danny Dimes this year. The Falcons have a hard time being real with their actually are. So let me ask you a question. The Falcons organization, did you think they made a good pick by taking Drake London in the first round, looking back now? Was that a good pick for them? The answer is no. The answer is no. Is Kyle Pitts a good pick at number 4? Was Kyle Pitts a good pick at number 4 right now? The answer is no. Was Bijan Robinson a good pick at number 8 right now?
But why are the answers no, though? If they make the playoffs,
because the organization sucks. But you think they hit the home run of all home runs by taking Michael Penix Jr. at 8? It makes no sense.
But if they draft Penix Jr., he wins 2-3 games. They make the playoffs. Why is it an awful decision? Then you would literally have a core. That's literally what you want. Gene, you're making these arguments. Look at what Denver did. Literally, look at Denver. Denver is the perfect catalyst. They cut Russell Wilson for $40+ million dead cap and have a rookie quarterback, and they're going to make the playoffs this year. You can do that. If you want to spend money for a quarterback that's not on your roster, you can absolutely 110% do that, and then you can go win football games and make the playoffs.
Make the decision to bring Russell Wilson.
It doesn't matter who brought up the decision. It doesn't matter. It's the payment. It's the payment. It's literally the payment. You're paying a quarterback $40 million to not play for you, and you draft this rookie, and he comes in and he plays game. We saw Russ with damn near the exact same roster last year, minus Jerry Jeudy, and they weren't a good football team. And now they bring in Bo Nix, and they're a good team, and they're going to go make the playoffs. If Michael Penix Jr. pans out, then you can't say that it was a bad decision to draft him. It may have been a bad decision to pay Kirk Cousins, but if you thought he could be your bridge guy, who cares that they spent $90 million to do so? If the owner wants to pay that, who cares?
But you're living in a world of if, when you have the facts that are sitting right in front of you.
I'm not living in a world of this. There's 3. We haven't seen Michael Penix Jr. play.
I seen him play. He played plenty at Washington. He played at Indiana. I seen him play. But what I'm telling you is you're not living in a world. You're living in a world of if. And I'm telling you the facts that are in front of you. The Falcons organization, when they have glaring needs at every position on the football field, went out and drafted 3 shiny cars, and none of them are being used right.
Okay, true. So with that being said, then
Drake London's having the best year of his career when they finally got him a quarterback.
Darnell Mooney's having a great season right now.
He's going to be 1,000-yard. He's probably going to be 1,200-yard receiver, and he's got 7 touchdowns already. Like so now 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns isn't a good season.
Well, it might be a good season in year 3, but
let's put it this way. Right now, as he sits right now, he's eclipsed every other number that he's had his first 2 years through 15 games with Kirk Cousins.
This is his 3rd year in the NFL.
Correct. Okay. And it's his first year playing with a decent quarterback.
A 1,000-yard receiver I'd be happy with. If I draft a 1,000-yard receiver, I'd be pretty happy with that.
You can't blame it on Drake London when he had road codes.
I would not be happy with that when the other receivers that have went in the top 10 in the last 5-6 years have been Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith. Like
that's not Drake London. They couldn't take Jalen Waddle over Devonta Smith. Like that wasn't an option. So yeah, I mean, of course, you compare those to those guys, of course.
Who's been throwing the ball to Jalen Waddle since he's been a rookie? Who's throwing the ball to Jamar Chase?
Joe Burrow. Okay.
Are any of those guys anywhere near equivalent of that playing in Atlanta the last 3 years?
No.
Okay. So that would explain why he got a decent quarterback this year and his numbers are already better than his first 2 years.
And if Michael Penix Jr. pans out, and let's just say he's an average quarterback. If Drake London is a consistent 1,000-yard receiver and Bijan is a 1,000-yard running back and Kyle Pitts makes the emergence, and I'm with you in the fact that I think Kyle Pitts has been an absolute disappointment. He just hasn't hit that where we thought he could be. But let's not act like we didn't think he was a generational tight end talent. We all thought he deserved to go in the top 5. So the Falcons missing on that. It's not like they were the only ones. Like, it was just this huge reach. We all thought that Kyle Pitts had the potential to be a generational tight end. So let's see what he looks like with Michael Penix Jr.
The Falcons are going to win 2 out of their final 3 games because they can't lose them. There's 2 teams that are trying to lose, and they're going to lose next week at Washington. They're going to go 2-1 in their final 3 games. They're not going to make the playoffs because the Buccaneers are going to win the division, and they're not going to be a wild card. And you're going to start next year with Michael Penix and have a $45 million backup quarterback in Kirk Cousins.
But guess what they can do? They can say, "Hey, let's get rid of Kirk, and another team can sign him for $1 million. And if they go and make the playoffs next year, who cares?" No one is talking. I haven't seen anybody on any major platform talking about the Broncos and how they got rid of Russell Wilson, because it doesn't matter now. It literally doesn't matter. If you win football games, that's all that matters.
You're right. I don't think they're going to win football games. I think they're going to still fail.
How is making the playoff with a rookie quarterback failing?
They're not. This year, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. By the way, Drake London went 2 picks ahead of Garrett Wilson, who's clearly better. Chris Olave, who's clearly better.
Chris Olave is not on the field.
Better than Drake London. He's been first 3 years.
Compare the numbers this year. Who's got better? Who's got between the 3 of those guys? Who's got better numbers this year?
Got knocked out on a dirty play. Who's got better numbers this year? Olave has better numbers per game. Like, what do you mean? Who's a better receiver? Drake London or Chris Olave?
I'm not talking. Who's a better receiver? I'm talking this year numbers. Look at the numbers. Who's got better numbers this season?
Chris Olave's been hurt.
Okay.
Last year. Who's a better quarterback? Aaron Rodgers or Desmond Ritter? Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. He's hurt.
Throw Garrett Wilson in there. Then throw the number. I'm talking about number for number. If you look at Chris Olave's best year, you look at Drake London's best year, you look at Garrett Wilson's best year, they're all going to be right there. I'm not saying Drake is better than Garrett or Chris. Obviously, I love those guys. Like, I think they're great receivers, but we also don't know what Drake London can be. He's got a skeleton out there with Kirk Cousins, and he's having a career year. So, albeit for me to think maybe Michael Penix Jr. just being decent, we can look at Drake London being a potential 1,200-yard receiver and that not being a miss for taking the guy at 7 or 8. Like, that's not crazy.
So for this year, right now, ironically enough, they literally have the identical yardage. They both have 933 yards receiving. Drake London has more reception and has 1 more touchdown pass. That's Kirk Cousins versus Aaron Rodgers. So
that Drake London's got 917 yards. What are you reading? 919 yards Drake London has. Making up numbers?
933 to 919. Still has 1 more touchdown. He has more receptions.
Okay. More receptions for less yards. Great.
Right there. One has, depending on who you talk to, the most talented quarterback to ever play the freaking game. One has Kirk Cousins. Yeah, so I don't know how Drake London becomes a bust because
Drake London stinks.
He doesn't stink, dude. Bro, you don't put up 900 yards with road codes. It stink, dude. He doesn't stink.
Top 10 wide receiver, he stinks.
Because Desmond Ritter couldn't get him the ball, and now he's having a career year. I don't know. I get it. He's got 3 games left, and he's talking about 900 yards. So yes, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
do the math.
1,000 yards isn't what it used to be, bro.
So now 1,000 yards doesn't matter. Anybody can get 1,000 yards.
17 games, that's averaging 72 yards.
It's
per
1
game.
extra game, Gene.
Okay.
So when we played 6 game seasons, then 900 yards didn't matter then? That's what you're saying.
It didn't matter. First, 1,000-yard receivers are a dime a dozen now. Taking one in the top 10, we were talking about 1,000-yard receivers like it's they're a dime a dozen. Everyone has them. Every team has one. That, like, bro, 1,000-yard receiver, Christian Kirk's a 1,000-yard receiver. What's your point? That's not good. It's not. 1,000 yards as a wide receiver in this NFL with 17 games is not Like, oh wow, 1,000-yard
well,
receiver
It's one
while we're
extra
getting
game.
at
in a
semantics here,
passing league, Bill.
we're
league's
getting at
become progressively more
semantics here.
passing.
He's not going to end at 1,000. He's got 3 games left, and he's already at what 915, whatever number you guys gave. So just looking at his numbers, I mean, he'd end up 11, 1,200, somewhere around there. So I mean, it's still going to
He's
be
not
a
averaging
really
100-yard game. He won't end up at 1,200. I know math's not your strong suit.
I said 11 to 1,200 is literally what I said. I know listening isn't your strong suit because you like to just talk over people. So if you just slow down just a little bit, listen.
I'm here.
I said somewhere between 11 and 1,200. Play back the tape. That's a good season for a receiver, especially when you have Darnell Mooney's also having a great season. So we don't know what Drake London can be, because if Kirk Cousins is looking this bad, imagine what Drake London could look like with a good receiver.
Okay, so to your stance, that means Chris Olave sucks too. Then, just for the
this
record.
year? Are you talking about this year? Yeah,
Rookie year. Let me finish. Rookie year, 1,042 yards.
Okay.
Doesn't mean shit, correct? Last year, 1,123 yards. That's his best number so far. Dime a dozen, right? So Chris Olave, dime a dozen. So is Garrett Wilson then. His highest is 1,100. So all these guys stink. That's what you're saying.
Every one of them just
Drake
bust.
London.
All
receivers
Drake
bust.
London.
Drake, Garrett, Chris. If you don't like them, they're bust.
Chris Olave has 10 career touchdowns, for Christ's sake.
Okay.
10. And he's missed half the season. It wasn't all concussion this year. I have him on fantasy. He's burned me in every goddamn league because he's been on the IR half the year. He's got 10 career touchdowns. Drake London's got 7 this season.
Good for
so maybe Drake London is better.
He's not.
Okay, but
I don't know what you
their
want.
numbers are all identical.
They're not identical.
They are.
They're not identical.
Look
This year, Drake London
they're
has
not.
900 yards. Last year, he had 600.
Chris Olave's career best year so far is 1,100 yards. You just said that's a dime a dozen. It doesn't matter. They're all in the same group. They're all in the same group then.
Drake London had
Production
900,
matters. What you
900,
do on the field matters.
yards.
I don't care what their names are. Production matters.
Okay.
They're all in the 11 to 1,200 yard range.
Where 1,000 yards
has more
is a
touchdowns
dime
than
a
both
dozen. In a league where 1,000 yards is a dime a dozen, Drake London still hasn't eclipsed that yet.
He's got more touchdowns than both of them.
Why are we acting like the season's over? Like, why are we acting like the next 3 games he's just going to have 0, 0, and 0?
Because it makes Gene's point.
Who cares that he's played 3 whole years? Desmond Ridder doesn't even have a starting job right now.
Okay.
Like, we're talking about Desmond Ridder as being the worst quarterback in the – what would Chris Olave look like with Desmond Ridder throwing him the ball all year?
Taylor Heineke, too, who made Terry McLaurin a 1,000-yard receiver, too. Taylor Heineke started more games last year than Desmond Ridder. Just FYI.
Okay, what about the rookie year?
That's not like a – what?
And Taylor Heineke is also not a starting – keep naming quarterbacks that don't have starting jobs now. Like, that's fine. Derek Carr was throwing the ball to Chris Olave. Like, that's fine.
Mariota was their starter in 2022. So, and then he quit on the team because the organization sucks.
Okay, so if he quit on the team and Desmond Ridder was there and then he started the following year, Desmond Ridder threw him the ball a ton. Mariota also doesn't have a starting job right now in the NFL. So
you're right.
You're talking about Drake London being thrown to by guys that aren't starting quarterbacks in the league.
Sucks,
which is fine. You can literally say that and not say certain players suck. Like, we just don't know what they are yet.
I guess we'll find out. I've watched Drake London. He looks very average.
You've also watched Garrett Wilson and you also watched Chris Olave.
I've watched Garrett Wilson run routes better than anyone. I've watched him catch balls that were incredible. I watched Chris Olave cut on a dime. I watched his yards to separation and what he does as far as running the route tree. I watched Drake London.
Who else runs great routes? And I'm not even saying that he's on the same caliber, like same level as these guys. Jerry Jeudy also runs great routes.
He does.
I mean, you got to put it together as a receiver here. I'm just saying
to
put it out on Drake London is wild.
Do you think Drake London's a better receiver than Jerry Jeudy? Same situation.
Same situation? No.
Yeah, no, you don't think so, right?
No.
Cool. I'm with you there. That's where I think Drake London is. When I say he sucks, I mean he sucks for a top 10 pick. I don't think
he's also going to finish top 5 in yards this year.
I don't think that Drake London is a terrible receiver. But what is the saying that Steve Smith says? He's a jag. He's just another guy. That's what he is.
I'm saying if you draft a guy top 10 and he's getting you 11 to 1,200 yards in his 3rd season without really anybody at quarterback. I'm
That's
saying
probably
you
the
may have
worst
something.
top 10 wide receiver draft in the last 10 years. That's what that is.
Well, he's going to be in the same boat as Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave if you look at the numbers. So
And if you watch
that's
them,
what that
who do
is.
you think's better?
I think
watch
Garrett's
them
better.
play.
I think Garrett's better.
By a lot, right? If we're doing cups of soda, how many cups of soda would you put on the left side? How many would you put on the right side?
I'm saying I think Drake London is a very good receiver. Like he can be a very good receiver.
He could be a very good receiver.
Correct.
Okay, we'll see when he gets there.
I
would love to see that. I didn't think Drake London was good coming out. I didn't think Drake London looks good in the first 3 years of his career. And I think
he's looked good this year.
I don't. I think Darnell Mooney's looked like the better receiver on the team. And he's been a Jag his whole career. Just another guy. I think every team in the National Football League, outside of the New England Patriots and maybe the Raiders now that they trade Devontae Adams, has a better receiver than Drake London. 30 out of 32 teams have a better receiver. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is better. Brian Thomas Jr. is better than him.
That's wild.
I just think that. That's what I think. I think he's just another guy. But we're 1 hour in. It's trivia time. Let's pause this conversation. We'll get back to NFL. Let's get to trivia.
All right. So this week for me, I have NFL questions.
Okay.
In honor of Travis Hunter winning the Heisman.
Comments.
I wanted to go to the NFL, go something a little bit different. We'll go top 10 NFL leaders in career leaders in non-offensive touchdowns.
Okay. So repeat that again.
Top 10.
Okay.
NFL career leaders, individual players in non-offensive touchdowns. Special teams return. Yeah, fumble recoveries, everything that's not an offensive touchdown.
That's a really tough question. I get to go first though. So, I think Devin Hester returned a lot of punts in his career. I'll start there.
Devin Hester is number 1 with 20 non-offensive touchdowns.
That's a really tough question.
Desmond Howard.
Desmond Howard is not on the list.
Let's go with Charles Woodson.
Charles Woodson is tied for number 5. You got 6 guys tied at number 5, but Charles Woodson is one of those guys at 13.
Okay.
I'll go Deion.
Deion Sanders is at number 2 with 19 touchdowns.
That's a great one. I think that Dante Hall, the human joystick, probably returned a couple punts in his career.
Dante Hall's at number 11 with 12. Just missed the list.
You scumbag. Human joystick.
I will go with Rod Woodson.
Rod Woodson is a great pull. Number 3 with 17 non-offensive touchdowns.
Okay. I'm gonna stick with my return game. Give me a returner that played for Washington and Philadelphia. Give me Mr. Brian Mitchell. I know he's got
Brian Mitchell is tied for 5 with number at 13 non-offensive touchdowns.
What's it? 3-2 now?
3-2.
Okay.
I will go with Mr. Ball Hawk from Baltimore. I'll go Ed Reed.
Ed Reed is also another guy tied at number 5 with 13 non-offensive touchdowns.
That's a great one. How about your guy in Cleveland? Give me Josh Cribbs.
Josh Cribbs is right off this list. He's at tied for 14 with 11.
Oh, my God. I don't know. I don't know.
There's definitely, I think 3 of the last 4 are gettable.
What did we say Woodson and all them are at?
So you got Hester at 1 with 20, Sanders at 2 with 19, Woodson at 3 with 17, and then you're missing number 4, and then everybody else is tied with number 5 for 13.
I'll take a stab here. I mean, I don't know if he's at 13. He's got to be somewhere close though. He did score a decent amount of touchdowns. I'll go with Dawkins.
Brian Dawkins is not on this list.
Give me another Eagles cornerback. I think he'll be close to this one. Is Eric Allen?
Eric Allen is not on this list.
Is not close either.
I wanted to see if he was in the top 20, and he's not.
Okay. I'm not. Good.
I'm trying to think who else returned like kicks like that. Oh,
I got one. I have one.
I will go with. I think this guy played for Cleveland too, actually, at one point. I'll go with Eric Metcalf.
Eric Metcalf just off the list.
God damn it!
With 12.
Did he wait? Who are the names that we said so far?
You got Devin Hester,
Okay.
Deion Sanders,
Yep.
Rod Woodson,
Yep.
Ryan Mitchell,
Okay.
Ed Reed, and
I have one.
wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that it?
3-3.
I think it's 3-3. Who did you say? I know I got run it back.
I don't want to say this name because I'm pretty sure you guys said him, but I
said Dion, Rod Woodson, and Ed Reed. Those are the 3 I got. And then Gene has Hester.
Ryan
Mitchell,
and Charles Woodson.
And Woodson, yeah. 3-3.
Okay.
Woodson was the one that I was like, I'm pretty sure you guys said him, but
so the person I was thinking of wasn't said then. That's what I was worried about. And this guy scored a touchdown versus the Philadelphia Eagles in a playoff game. I'm going Rondé Barber.
Rondé Barber is number 4 with 14.
Jesus. I'll go Bob Sanders.
God, it's a
Bob
great
Sanders is not on this list.
How is he not on the list? We say D'Angelo Hall.
D'Angelo Hall is not on the list. He's at 18 though with 10.
I'm just thinking the guys that had a lot of pick sixes. I got one. I have one. I got one. I'm locking this shit up.
Stump now.
15 seconds.
Anybody guess Westbrook?
Brian?
Yeah. I'll guess Westbrook.
Not on the list.
I'm going to guess another Eagle. How about my man Troy Vincent? Played in the league forever, ton of pick sixes. Give me Troy.
Troy Vincent is not on the list.
How about another Troy? How about Troy Polamalu?
Troy Polamalu is not on the list. Not in the top 25.
Holy crap. Could you do it slower next time so I get more time to think? Thank you. Oh, yeah, can we get a hint?
Yeah, I can do hints. You want to give? I can give
How
you
many we have
guys.
left? 3?
Yeah, you got 3 left. I can give you guys years that they played.
That'd be fine. Is that cool, Shal?
Fine.
Okay.
All right. So the first one, by far the toughest one on here, 1970 to 1982.
Jesus Christ.
So nobody's getting that.
The other 2, 1997 to 2010, and then 1991 to 2004.
Those are gettable, right?
Yes, very much so.
It's a legit race to 5 now.
Jesus Christ.
And I'll even go here too. I'll throw you one more bone here. Both Hall of Famers.
Okay.
Jesus.
No. I lied. I'm lying. I'm sorry. Looking at the wrong line. One Hall of Famer. The other two aren't. The old guy is not a Hall of Famer, and then the other guy is not a Hall of Famer.
Bro, I don't know. I really don't have any. I'm serious. I'm so serious. I don't know. Come to me.
Ooh, I have one.
Great.
I don't know if it's right.
Roy Williams.
Not on the list.
Asante Samuel.
That's a great one.
Asante Samuel is not on the list.
It's a great guess. It was a good poll. I don't care what anybody says. He was Mr. Pick Six for a while.
Yeah.
Any more Eagles? No, I shouldn't ask that. I'm asking a bunch of Eagles.
I know. Like we've had these dominant defenses where we just score fucking defensive touchdowns all the time.
Oh, Patrick Peterson.
Patrick Peterson is not on the list.
I'm so excited. I'm like, oh, Patrick Peterson. I'm just going 2 divisions. Oh, I got one. Another one.
Namande Asamoah.
Nobody's not on the list either.
How about Darryl Green? Played in the league forever. Returned kicks for Washington.
That was the guy I was trying to think of earlier. Shit.
He's not on the list, but I do think he was.
He's got to be close.
He's tied for 36 with 8.
Really?
Okay.
He was kind of like the kickoff guy before like the kickoff guy was the thing.
For what it's worth, Desmond Howard is also tied for 36 with 8.
Bro, I don't know. You saying they're gettable? I'm legitimately just naming guys.
I think the two younger guys I think are gettable. They're tough. Yeah, I mean, I'll wait till Bill goes here. I'll tell you what to think about with that.
Okay.
There's no way like the young kids have that many yet.
Well, he just gave you the years.
I know.
There's nobody young. That's where I just completely gave up. I'm like, I don't know at this point. Like, I swear to God, my last round I almost said Richard Sherman, but like Richard Sherman wouldn't make sense because of the years. No, seriously, like it just wouldn't. Like I'm good. Shut up. You're a guess, my guess.
I have no idea. I'm probably not gonna get either one of these till I get like a hint that something clicks.
Go 10 seconds.
Just go, Gene.
What's the hint?
All right, so I want to give you guys the team that they're like primarily known for. This first guy, like the old guy, primarily Cincinnati, like that was when he made his money.
Okay.
The next person, primarily, really two, Green Bay and Minnesota. And then the last one, I would say he's most known for his years in Arizona.
Arizona.
The Green Bay, Minnesota one is interesting. Did he also play for Dallas?
I'm not answering questions here.
I think the Green Bay, Minnesota one is the one. He played for Dallas too.
You got a guess?
I'm trying to remember his name. I think I know who you're talking about though. Because I remember him in Green. I don't remember his name. Why am I forgetting his name?
You know what? Just to make it, just to give it to you exactly how it is. Old guy, Cincinnati, Washington, Buffalo. Those were his three. The next guy, you had Green Bay, Minnesota, New Orleans. Last guy.
Oh, I know that guy. I know him. You don't even
Last
say
guy.
him. New Orleans. That's what year's the New
Last
Orleans?
guy. Last guy, Cardinals and Rams.
The New Orleans is the youngest guy, right?
Can neither confirm nor
2012,
deny.
right? Darren Sharper.
Darren Sharper is that guy. 13.
Bro, I thought he was a Cowboy too, which wild to me. Darren Sharper. You going anybody else?
I mean, it's 5, isn't it? I'm not going to get the old one, so.
Okay. Who's the other one? Who's the Cardinal? Well, hold on. Is the Cardinal Fitz? Did he like return kicks? Wait, hold on. Who's the Cardinal?
He's a corner.
Is it Aeneas?
Yes.
That makes sense. He's the only good corner before Patrick Peterson. Where's Patrick Peterson on this list? I'm shocked Patrick Peterson's on this list.
Nowhere close.
That is
Patrick Peterson is tied for 81 with 6 touchdowns.
Patrick Peterson touchdowns. Hang on. That's crazy. Am I the only one that thought Patrick Peterson had more touchdowns? I was shocked Patrick Peterson wasn't on that list. Bill, I still think you won the year. I think it's over. I think we start a new year with you winning.
Got into a big lead and coasted. Got lucky.
That's fair. But I think you still won the year because we can't do it next week.
No. It's going to be me and you next week.
Katrell, you ruined it for us. Do you think you can get like somebody to come on and host the trivia?
Where are you going again?
Jamaica.
Jamaica, man. Kofi Kingston.
Bro, I'm looking at the comments. Mel Gray. He wasn't the old guy, was he?
No. The old guy was
Krause?
Lamar Parrish.
Oh, never would have thought of that. Wow, Darren Sharper's on a ton of these people said that.
I thought he would have been a Hall of Famer if he wasn't a
Bro, that's a
person.
great pick, Darren Sproles. I wonder where Darren Sproles is at non-offensive touchdowns.
I think he was at 9.
Okay. I always like going through the comments afterwards when I turn them back on. Darryl Green. Yeah, I thought the same thing. Not in the top 25. I guess John had the list up. Thanks, John. Oh, he posted them. Darren Sharper, Aeneas Williams, and Lamar Parrish is left on the list. Thanks, John. Not like we're playing a game here. Dave Meggett.
Dave Meggett's a good one.
That's a really good. Eddie Royal's a good one. That's a really good one. Don Beebe. Billy, more touchdowns than fraud Notre Dame. All right. Just so you guys know, I turn the comments off on this sheet when we're doing the trivia. So posting the comments is fine. It just, I'm not going to see them until afterwards. All right. NFL. Let's finish up our NFL, and then we got some more stuff to talk about. Not like crazy news in the NFL this week, but I do want to bring up this. And maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me being me, right? And I make a promise to you guys. When the Eagles aren't relevant, I don't want to talk about the Eagles every week. But am I the only one that was visibly annoyed when Jalen Hurts went to the podium and was like, that what you wanted? That what you wanted? Like, they made it like the media made up this story about them.
Yeah, that's what's annoying about it. It came from somebody who is legit, not if he's not the guy, he is absolute 1A leader in that locker room. And yeah, Jalen, yes, that's what we would like our franchise quarterback if we pay $40 million a year or two.
Annoyed.
That's what we would like you to play like every week. That being said, I said as the game was going on, that is easily a top 5 game that he's ever played. He played great. I'm not going to take anything away from him. But yeah, dude, like when you get criticism, when you play like dog shit, that's what you're going to get. But yeah, that's how we want our franchise quarterback to play. Sorry, we want good quarterback play. Sorry, we're asking for too much there. We apologize, Jalen. Sorry.
Yes, Jalen. Quarterbacks throw the ball too.
Yeah.
I when I seen that press conference, it was just like one of those ones like, this is what you guys wanted. Like, bro, shut up. You act like this was something that like we all made up. AJ Brown said the passing game. Brandon Graham said you guys aren't friends anymore. You set the story up. That was you.
Wasn't us. That's for damn sure.
My thing is that I feel like, and again, this is uncharted territory for me, so I can't really speak on it. But every week, every other week, it's just something to complain about. I mean, Jalen has his best game, and you guys come on here and talk about not liking his demeanor. Personally, if my quarterback was like that, I would say, all right, well, you know what? Hey, you know what? He got us. He's right. That's what we want.
It's not that he got us though. He makes $50 million a year.
I get it, but he played great. Played out of his mind. He played a great game, and you're complaining about
nobody's complaining about how he played.
I know you're complaining about his demeanor. What I'm saying, who the hell cares? Who winning? I said it when we talked about Michael Penix Jr. and Kirk Cousins and Bo Nix and all those guys. Who the hell cares about anything else unless you're winning? What are the Eagles on right now? Like an 11-game win streak, 10-game win streak?
Open this press conference that way. Like again. This isn't
so he's pissed off about hearing about this, and then he goes and plays the best game.
So then why do you open your press conference with it? So if you wanted to die, you wanted to go away, you then sit down, and the first thing you do is give attitude to the people who are going to report on what you say. And mind you, like Gene said, they didn't make this shit up. It came from the leader of the locker room, the captain of the team, and the guy who you used to be best friends with, who both threw you under the bus. So then you sit down. You don't want it to be an issue. You want it to be focused on how you're playing. You just maybe played the best game of your life, and you sit down with, that's what you guys want? Yes, that's what we want. We want you to play good football. That's exactly what we want you to do.
But that's fine, and I'm perfectly fine with you having that opinion on it. But was I the only one annoyed? And then Bill co-signed and was like, no, I was annoyed too with it. But like, yeah, you can say, yes, that's what we want. But at the same time, be like, all right, well, Jalen's playing good football now. Like, maybe if we just keep pissing this guy off, he's just going to go out there and play great football. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh, now this guy's running his mouth. Now he has an attitude with us because we criticize this play. I'd be like, all right, maybe we ultimately open the door for him to realize that, hey, when adversity hits, this is what ultimately gets the most out of Jalen Hurts. When we talk shit about Jalen, this is ultimately what gets the most out of him. I wouldn't be complaining that he opened up and said, oh, this is what you guys wanted, because I'm sure all week long he had to hear about it. And obviously with a personal relationship like that, because obviously we all know that their relationship goes beyond just the football field. He doesn't want to go out there every day and answer questions about him and AJ's relationship, regarding this.
So then say that to Brandon Graham.
Yeah. Or tell AJ not to talk. When they go, what's wrong? Tell AJ not to say the passing.
Here's the thing, Gene. Jalen might have been talking to BG too when he said that. Might have been talking right to BG too.
I kind of want to push that. I just wanted a quick opinion on that real quick, but I kind of want to push that to the conversation I had set up for you guys, and I didn't want you guys to know this was coming, right? Rookie quarterbacks this year. This is coming off of what my opinion is Caleb's worst game. His game this past week was awful. I just want to be very clear when I say that. I'm not asking you to grade them if they were in the perfect situation, because they're not, right? There's quarterbacks that are in flawed situations. And I also can't ask you to grade Michael Penix Jr. or to grade JJ McCarthy because they haven't really played football yet.
They both stink anyway.
What?
I said they both stink anyway.
I don't know that. I don't know that yet. I like Michael Penix Jr. I do.
Cleveland will be lucky to have either one of them.
That's fair. But here,
You're right, 100%.
What I want you to do is to grade the rookie, where you would put these rookies based off of what they're going to do going forward in their current situation. So what I mean by that is, yeah, you can say, I think Caleb's going to get a new coach next year and he's going to do great. And put him 1. I don't care if you do that. But what I want to say is, you know where they're at now, right? They're judged by where they're at now. Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams. Give me those 4 quarterbacks and grade them going forward, how their career will ascend or descend. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think much changes then if you do it that way. I think if you base the
don't think
what it
much
is right
changes.
now.
I think Bo Nix is now 1. Does that change? What? Right now in their current situation, I go Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Drake May. That's my 4 in order.
I don't think any. I mean, if you want to make an argument for Jaden, I think you can do that. I still don't think any of the other 3 the other 2 are gonna have a better career than Caleb when it's all said and done. And I've been more critical of Caleb than anybody on this show.
You're right.
And I think he played dog shit. I think he played dog shit the other night.
I think they ruined quarterbacks in Chicago. Ruined. Did you watch him the other night? I'm not kidding with you. He had a guy right in front of his face. They're like 7 yards, first down, directly in front of his face. No defender within 5 yards. Easiest throw you'll make in your career. It was so bad.
That's where we're going to disagree. That's not coaching. Sorry.
You're right.
That's him making a bad throw. When he snaps the ball and he's in the 3rd step of his drop and the offensive line blows and he's hurdling over player and hitting the circle button to spin move before he can read the defense, that's the Bears organization sucking and not putting a good offensive line in front of the guy that you hope is your quarterback for the next 15 years. But when you have a clean pocket and a guy's open, and like you said, and he sits down in the soft part of the zone and there's nobody within 5 yards of him and you miss him, that's a Caleb problem. That's not a Bears problem.
I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm somewhere in the middle with that because
you can't hit a guy wide open like that. That's a bad throw. I'm not saying that's who he's going to be.
I understand that. But you don't just because a guy is wide open on an underneath route, you don't know what his progression is supposed to be. I have to see the play. Like we talked about the Jalen Hurts and AJ. We know the AJ Brown. We talked about the AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, touchdown last week. That the ball was clearly supposed to go to AJ there. Jalen Hurts threw the touchdown ball there. I'm saying that if this was the exact same scenario, maybe Caleb is throwing he's not even looking there because he's going through his progressions to the first read.
If you go rewatch that whole game, and again, I'm giving.
So you're saying his first read is a 5 yard underneath route?
Giving on a 3rd and 4, yeah, it is. On now take away. Again, I'm giving Caleb the benefit of the doubt. Take away the ones when he's not even out of his drop back yet and he's already running for his life. I'm not talking about those throws. Go rewatch that game unbiasedly and look at how many wide open people with clean pockets that he missed. It's a lot. And that's not a Bears thing. That's him not throwing the ball well. He's not playing well. And then on top of that, he's a rookie.
I'm not.
And then on top of that, he's playing behind a Swiss cheese of an offensive line. So when you culminate it all together, yeah, it doesn't look good right now. That being said, I think 10 years from now, I still think Caleb's probably the best quarterback out of the 4. And again, if you want to argue Jaden, I think I think Jaden's so far ahead of schedule, it's wild. And you have to give Washington credit. You got to give Cliff credit. But I mean, how much we haven't been anywhere close to Caleb's ceiling what he's going to be. I'm not saying we're at Jaden's ceiling by any means either, but I think we're a lot closer to his than we are Caleb's. I think Bo, if I had to grade Bo right now, I'd say a B+. I think he's overachieving. I think he's way ahead of where he should be. And again, that's him being smart. And I think that's also, again, him being the benefit of being with a great coach in Sean Payton. I mean, I'll let Gene say his tagline right now: marry the coach with the quarterback. That's what Denver did. That's what Washington did. Chicago, we already know they didn't, and they might not, but we'll see. And Drake May, I think Drake May's had moments where you're like, okay, like that's the guy, like it's there. They're so offensively inept. Like I don't even know how you grade Drake May. Like they don't have a running game. They have no receivers. Like they're on, I think Drake May has shown glimpses that he has the physical tools to be a really good quarterback. He's made a couple good runs. He's made a couple really good throws, but it's incomplete for me. Like that offense is so bad around him. I don't know how you grade him.
Yeah, no, you're right. That offense is really bad around him. I'm not.
My thing is that when you don't have a good offensive mind in the building, Caleb Williams may not, and this isn't a positive form. It's not a negative. This is just being completely just unbiased, just thinking about it as a rookie quarterback. Caleb Williams might not know how to read NFL defenses, like as a whole, and that would be a problem. That is 100% a problem. But there's a lot of rookie quarterbacks that are in the league that don't understand what they're looking at because the NFL is so. He played in the Pac-12 before. You think any of those guys in the Pac-12 running any defense is similar to any of these NFL defenses? Absolutely not. So I'm not saying that it's a positive. I'm not saying it's negative. Hell, Patrick Mahomes didn't know how to read defenses when he first came in the league. And again, this isn't even me comparing Caleb to Pat, but Pat even had to sit a year to learn from Andy, learn how to fix all those mistakes the bad habits that he had in college. And Caleb really got essentially thrown to the wolves without a competent offensive mind. I'm just saying, I put a lot of blame on Caleb because he hasn't played well, but I'm also thinking you're supposed to have an eye in the sky to help you. All these other three that we're talking about, they have that guy. And I don't even like New England's offense, but at the same time, I think their coaching staff is doing right by Drake. So my biggest thing is when he gets a coach, when he gets not even just a coach, when he gets an offensive mind, I'd be very curious to see what he's going to look like.
This is the
I'm talking about. Yeah, I mean, I think Drake is obviously the question mark because like you said, I just don't think we have any idea what he is.
That's the play I was talking about. It was really bad. But he won't be a Bear in 10 years. I will predict that. I don't think he'll be a Bear in 5 years. The Bears just do nothing but recycle quarterbacks. That's all they do.
Bears are going to do the right thing. They're going to hire Ben Johnson and they're going to turn that around.
So your rankings are?
I'm still going Caleb, Jaden. Again, I'm going Bo 3 and Drake 4 because I don't know what Drake is. And I will say Bo is a closer 3 to 1 and 2 than I thought he would be.
Okay. And you have the same 4?
Same 4.
Okay.
That's right. Probably, well, with obviously JJ and Michael.
I didn't have JJ.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
No.
And again, I'm saying that 4 would have been my same order pre-draft. Obviously, you throw Michael and JJ in there. I'd slot them between Jaden and Bo, but I'm just saying that my order hasn't changed.
Mike Penix is in a decent situation. JJ's probably in a really good situation.
He's either in a really good situation or a really bad situation.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm talking about just strictly like what you were talking about with coaching and offensive minds and stuff like that. I mean, he's going to learn from one of the better guys in the NFL. That's all I was referencing.
I'm just saying now that we're here though, would you pay Sam Darnold?
No.
I don't think you can because I think it's literally you're going to get back into the same conversation we just had. I don't think Sam Darnold's taking a 1-year deal. I think he's resurrected his career enough that he's probably going to get at least a shot to start somewhere else if Minnesota doesn't want to commit to him. You could always franchise him and then trade him. I guess you could. I guess you could do, but
they go to NFC Championship game. You just let them walk for nothing, Gene.
Yep.
Yes.
I might franchise him for 1 year.
I think that's going to be the answer. I think it's going to franchise because with JJ being hurt and on PUP, he's not allowed to do certain things. So
That's
I mean,
fun. Can we do that real quick?
Sure.
Cut
What do you
him,
want to do?
trade him, sign him, and I'll give you a couple quarterbacks.
Okay.
Like let him walk, trade him, sign him. Is that cool? Sam Darnold will start there.
Can franchise be counted as signing him?
No.
So we can't
Long
franchise
term.
anybody?
Long term.
Oh, long term, no.
Well, long term's no then. I mean, that's
I'm not gonna lie. If I'm Minnesota, I give him I give them the 2-year, $80 million guaranteed if they make the NFC Championship game.
I mean, JJ's not playing until the last year of his rookie deal. Then that's wild. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that's you're playing with fire at that point. Then
You are.
Okay. Brock Purdy.
He's not extended. Then I'm assuming.
No, it's extension this year. He's eligible for extension this offseason.
Let him walk.
It's funny because if they franchise Darnold, I'm not kidding with you. They franchise Darnold and they let Brock Purdy play on his last year of his rookie contract next year. Sam Darnold could be the next quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. You're talking about the guy you just went. Where Kyle Shanahan called him next Steve Young. Reminds me of Steve Young. Remember that comment? Could be.
I mean,
I'm not giving Brock Purdy $200 million.
It probably
I don't think he's. Yeah, I'm not giving him 200. I'm not giving him $200+ million. I've seen what he can do with the best possible situation, and not get it done. San Francisco keeps finding themselves in the same position.
I don't know. You could put that all on him, but
I'm not. I'm not at all. I'm not putting it all on him by any means. I'm just saying.
I think
point.
If I could extend Brock for like 30 a year, I would do it. If Brock, I get it. If Brock wants Mahomes money or whatever the market's going to be, 45, 50, I'm not giving Brock Purdy that money.
If I'm Brock Purdy, I squeeze the 49ers for every single dollar I can.
Yep.
You guys had me on a rookie deal, 7th round pick for 4 years. Yeah, give me every dollar.
I don't disagree with anything, but he has the most value with that franchise.
You're not.
I'm not playing next year either. If I'm him, there's no way I'm walking in this season.
I'm with you, Gene. I'm
holding
out.
He's not going to play next year on that contract.
I'm holding out.
I will tell you anything you want. He will not play next year on that contract.
Who do you realistically think in the NFL is giving him $50 million a year?
No. He's got 1 year left on his deal. So
I get it. My point is, the majority. He doesn't have all the leverage in this situation. He does. No, he doesn't. Who do you realistically? I'm telling you, he is the most value he has is with San Fran because they've had him there. He plays there. He's played with C-Mac and all those guys.
Too, but
Carolina's not giving him $50 million a year to go play there.
Doesn't matter if they cut the check and say
one school can sign Shador, and only one school can sign. One franchise can sign Shador, and only one franchise can sign Cam Ward. Outside that, if you're not re-signing Brock Purdy, the Raiders could give him $45 million a year.
Raiders are probably taking quarterback this year, though. So take them off the board.
So we're saying the Giants and the Raiders are getting the quarterbacks this year, right? That's it.
I mean, I don't know why. I don't know how either one of them. The only thing you could argue, which would be what we talked about before, is the Giants take Travis Hunter. If not, you have to take quarterback.
They would be stupid to do that.
I don't disagree with you, but I mean, what else are you drafting if you're the Giants? Are you going into next year with Tommy DeVito as your starting quarterback again?
No. But that's my point. These teams could sign quarterbacks instead of drafting them.
Okay, but let's fast forward a year then, though. Okay, so let's say there's at least 2 or 3.
John's bringing up my point for me. The Titans
are you taking Drew Aller, Quinn Ewers, or one of those guys, or are you paying Brock Purdy $50 million?
You don't know what the season is going to give you. That's again, I think to that point. That's why also Atlanta gave Kirk Cousins $180 million. Like, I think you can get a team that's going to give Brock Purdy 4 years, $180 million. That's a bargain. And for Brock, I'm making sure it's $150 million guaranteed because I'm giving you the discount.
He will get the most money out of San Francisco.
And that would be great, but you do not play next year on that contract. There's zero chance.
I don't think Brock Purdy can sit a year.
There's no way you're playing for $600,000 next year if you're Brock Purdy.
Yeah, because if you go out, tear an ACL, whatever, you are screwed. He'll still get paid, but it's nothing close to what he could have got.
Bro, the Titans need a quarterback badly. The Colts need a quarterback badly. Anthony Richardson is not working out.
That's
FYI.
fine.
We could have told everyone that a while ago.
Fine, but I don't think they're going to get away from that either.
The Jets need a quarterback badly. A lot of teams need a quarterback. Tua's one concussion away from the Dolphins need a quarterback badly.
Okay,
obviously Cleveland needs one. We won't pay for one, but Cleveland needs one. Pittsburgh will need one. Badly. Pittsburgh will need one. I mean, Russ is on the last
on a 1-year contract.
Exactly. So, like, you got an opportunity.
But they're either keeping Russ or Justin. They're not letting both of them walk. So, like, if we're going to start having realistic discussions, they're not letting both of them walk.
The Titans, then.
Okay, so you're talking about this upcoming year or 2 years from now?
Yes, this upcoming year. Because Brock Purdy is not going to play on that contract. But Bill, mark my words. Brock Purdy will not play on that contract.
So if this is what I think will come into play.
Owing San Francisco money by the time he gets done getting fined.
But this is what if Brock Purdy says I'm going to hold out, and the 49ers are like, all right, well, if the Titans want to get you, they can sign you to that extension. They got to give us a first round pick, and then they can have you. Like, you don't think the Niners would go for the Titans first round pick?
The Titans aren't giving them a first round pick. That's my point. One of the two, you literally just said it. You know, or I think it was Cottrell. You know exactly what he looks like at the best of times.
Yeah.
With CMC, with Deebo Samuel, with George Kittle, with Brandon Ayuk, and a dominant offensive line. Tennessee doesn't have any of that. They can't check one of those 5 boxes. None of them. Brock Purdy's not going to look much better than Will Levis if he goes to Tennessee.
You're sorry. You're spot on. I don't disagree with you. I think he'll look better than Will Levis, but we got to move on.
How much? But by how much?
Will Levis has been terrible, bro.
Okay, but to Will Levis's point, what the hell do we know what Will Levis is? Will Levis is playing behind an awful offensive line with no wide receivers, no tight end, and Tony Pollard as his
no wide receivers. I don't agree with that.
Who?
He has Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley, he had DeAndre Hopkins, and he has a first round.
So wait, time out. So if we're to get back into numbers and the wide receiver thing, you just told me that Olave and Wilson and London, all those guys are getting 1,200 yards a season. They're not good, and now you're selling me.
I didn't tell
Tyler
you.
Tyler Boyd, who was a cast off.
London wasn't good. You're making stuff up.
I'm not making stuff up. Their numbers are all the same. If you get 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns. Do you want to pay Garrett Wilson $40 million a year to do it, or Drake London $20 million? Get the same numbers and have $20 million to go spend it somewhere else.
Bro,
that's easy. That's easy.
Going into this season,
I don't care about going into the season. It's what they've done this year. Drake London's having the best year out of the 3 of them.
You just talked about the fact that a quarterback really matters when you're talking about a team. So you just talked about that using your own logic against you. Okay, so if it does matter,
what's around the quarterback matters.
They walked into the season with DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Boyd, Treylon Burks, and Calvin Ridley. Their top 4 wide receivers.
Where's DeAndre Hopkins now?
What? He's in Kansas City.
Okay, so now you're selling me Burks. Who else?
Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley.
Boyd, who's Cincinnati? Just walk out of the city. They had no desire to keep him. And Calvin Ridley, who was a disaster in Jacksonville.
They don't have wide receivers. They have wide receivers, bro. It's not the
They don't have okay. To go back to your terminology, then they don't have a top tier wide receiver.
I agree with that. They don't have a top tier wide receiver.
They have no tight end. They have no tight end, and they have a 15 to 20 running back somewhere, and a shitty offensive line. Again, I'm not saying Will Levis is a world beater. I'm just saying I don't think we really know what he is.
I don't think their offensive line shitty either. Just FYI.
Ugh, they're not good.
I don't think so. They have like 3 first on the offensive line.
Skoranek, Petit Frere.
Yeah.
From the.
They also have JC Latham. JC Latham's on that team.
Yeah, they got a decent.
All right, we got it. We got to stop. We got to do quick pick them because we got a couple quick topics to get into. We're at 8:45. We're dragging. Let's get into pick them.
All right. Well, Bill is making his way
Making my way downtown. I'm in last place. I love it. Bill, what do you want the order to be this week? Same thing?
Jeez, Bill, what?
Control, you said the same thing every week. I want to ask Bill. He went 3-0 last week. Does he want to keep it the same? What do you want to do?
I mean, out of respect, I don't think it's my choice, but I prefer to keep it the same.
I'm just trying to figure out a way out of this closer role because I'm doing terrible at it. But
yeah, we're keeping you there, buddy. You stink up the bottom of the rotation.
That is
all right. First pick for me, I got the Falcons minus 7.5 versus the Giants. Michael Penix Jr. coming in. He's going to revitalize that offense, and he's going to show you exactly why they picked him at pick 8 there, and he's going to do it against an awful Giants team that is openly trying to lose. Second game, I like the Colts minus 3.5 versus the Titans. Titans are another team that are actively trying to lose there. I don't really think the Colts are that good, and they did get embarrassed last week against that Broncos team. But I think they, ultimately rebound in this one, and they take care of business pretty handily against a really bad Titans team, like we just talked about. In the last game I like the under 46.5 in the Rams at the Jets. The Jets have been obviously a dumpster fire all throughout this year. I think the Rams traveling across the country, playing in a little bit colder temperatures, that will slow down that offense a bit. So ultimately for me, I think the under 46.5 will be a pretty safe number.
All right. I'm going to start in Cottrell's favorite division. I'm going Baltimore minus 6.5 at home. TJ Watt, if he does play, I think is going to be slowed down significantly with that ankle injury. I think Baltimore at home is a different beast. Gene, I think, said it earlier this year. When they play in Pittsburgh, it's always a low-scoring kind of mud bowl type thing. When they play in Baltimore, it's a score fest. I'll take Baltimore's offense over Pittsburgh. Give me Baltimore at home. Next, Houston plus 3 at Kansas City. I think they can say all they want about Patrick Mahomes playing. If they do play, I think it's a mistake. If he does play, he's not going to be anywhere near 100%. Houston last 2 weeks started to kind of look like Houston. I'll take Houston plus 3 at home. I think Kansas City still could weeble out a win there. Maybe we see some Carson Wentz action. Who knows? It could be fun. But I'll take the Texans plus 3. Last but not least, I'm sticking with my Birds, dude. They're hot. They're going to Washington. I don't like Washington's defense. I think Philly goes to Washington, absolutely puts it on Washington. Big division game. I think you can pretty much show up the division for them if they win it. I think Philly by 10 plus. Give me the Eagles minus 3.5 on the road.
All righty. I'm hoping my trend continues. You'll find out why in a minute. I'm going to start. This is a trend for me. I know it is. I think the 49ers have quit. I think they're done. Give me the Dolphins minus 1 over San Fran at home in Miami. I think Miami wins that football game. I think that, you got guys walking off the field. I hope that's somebody you got to be kidding me because that's insane. But give me the Dolphins minus 1 over San Fran. I agree with Bill. I got the Ravens minus 6.5 over Pittsburgh. I looked at that line. I'm like, wait, that line should be 3. It should be 3.5. Why is it 6.5? Oh, I get it. TJ Watt's not going to play. Give me the Ravens minus 6.5 over Pittsburgh. By the way, Lamar Jackson is sneakily having the best season of his career statistically. 34 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and we're talking about Josh Allen running away with MVP, I guess. And then last but not least, I hope I'm wrong about this one. I love this pick, though. Give me the Commanders plus 3.5 over.
Oh, what an asshole.
I'm sorry. I don't want to pick that, but everything in my body tells me Dan Quinn for years has been a thorn in Jalen Hurts' side. Even the game in Philadelphia, I was there. I watched the whole thing. For 3 quarters, we just couldn't move the football. We can't throw versus him. Jalen Hurts has always had problems versus Dan Quinn teams. I think that Washington plays better offensively at home. I think Jaden scores more points. I don't think the Eagles can keep up. I think the Eagles drop this game. I'll take the Commanders plus 3.5.
Wow, you got them losing.
Yep, I'm losing the game outright.
Then next week, you definitely are going to be coming on here talking shit about Jalen.
Well, it's not talking shit. I actually think Jalen's going to look bad in this game. I do. But
that's what I'm telling you. If that's the case.
I think Jalen comes back and plays 2 good games at home versus Dallas and New York, the last 2 games of the season. Going into the playoffs, they'll be the 2 seed. I'm pretty confident in our road as the 2 seed. I'm not worried about going to Detroit or Minnesota.
Fair enough.
Those are environments where you're playing on carpet regardless, so I'm not really worried about that.
How to put the heart in your local community.
Whoa. Okay.
Oh,
Major League Baseball, just before we came on air, something happened.
what the hell happened?
Nolan Arenado was traded to the Astros.
What?
He voided it.
Oh, Blocks trade the Astros. Okay. I seen that
Okay.
earlier that way.
Wait, what?
Blocks trade the Astros. Okay.
Yeah, he said nah.
But anything
That's
else Major
interesting.
League Baseball we need to talk about outside the fact that the Phillies have been trying to trade Alec Boehm to everybody that will listen?
I mean, you got to get Bellinger going to the Yankees.
Bellinger going to the Yankees, and then obviously Kyle Tucker going to the Cubs behind that. And then, got to be honest, man, the Yankees stealing Devin Williams is got to give Brian Cashman some credit on that one.
Was that the Nestor Cortez deal?
Yep.
That's wild.
Yep. For, Nestor Cortez's free ride of publicity and fun is over. But Devin Williams, 2 years ago was the best closer in baseball. A little bit banged up this year, struggled a little bit, but to get him for Nestor Cortez and a prospect. Last year was deal. I don't want to say it's a rental, but it kind of is. But I have to say it, man. I don't think anybody's had a better offseason than the Yankees. I think they kind of saw what's in front of them and what needed to be done, and it's hard to argue that they haven't gone out and at least tried to do that. So, two big pickups for them. Cody, Cody's been up and down pretty much since he left the Dodgers, but again, we joke about it all the time. He's going to hit a bunch of home runs in that stadium. So,
you think Fried was a good signing? You think Fried was a good signing?
It is in this. I think they overpaid for him. I said that last week, but it gives them a legitimate number two, which they haven't had in a long time. Like, he is a legitimate number two behind Garrett Cole. So even if you get stuck in a 3-game series, in the wild card round or something like that, like, you're going to go Garrett Cole, Max Fried with that lineup. I think you have to feel pretty confident.
Okay.
I'm not saying they're better than the Dodgers. I'm just saying I think they've been very aggressive this offseason, and I think, at some point, it became evident they were going to lose Juan Soto, but I think everything else they've done has made the team better and has made sense. I'll say that.
I think the one interesting thing right now is what's going on with Corbin Burns. Ultimately, is he going to go back to the Orioles? Orioles kind of made it to be this big thing where, they basically came out and said they were willing to spend money and, make the team great. And obviously they have all these prospects and they're not really paying, those guys. So ultimately, is Corbin in a spot where he feels like he's got a better chance to win elsewhere? Is he chasing after the money? I think that's obviously name-wise, of course, the biggest domino, but just how everything is unfolding there and how much time it's taken, I think that's really been the most surprising thing to me so far.
If I'm Corbin Burns, I will say this. I think Baltimore has absolutely probably offered him good money. I think Corbin Burns is looking at it kind of to what you said. We have a great lineup, but who is behind me in this staff? Like how are we going to win a World Series or continue to compete year in and year out if it's me and we're kind of just rotating, I don't want to say journeymen, but guys that are pretty much just 500 pitchers with, 3.5, 4 ERAs for their career. I think they got to go out and, and get a legitimate, at least legitimate, a couple starters behind him. I think it would make it easier for him to commit there. Because again, you're committing to a team that is starting for, top of the world prospects, and they still got 3 more coming. So with incorporate it with what's already there. So that lineup's not going to go anywhere for a long, long time. But the pitching is the weak part of that team.
The Red Sox went out and traded for Garrett Crochet, which is a huge trade for the Red Sox to get them more involved.
It is. It helps them, I think, kind of tread water for another year. Gave up a decent amount to get them. Gave up, I think his last name's Healy, whatever his last name is, the catching prospect, which is pretty much top 2 or 3 on everybody's list in Major League Baseball. I think it's a little bit of a risk. Like I said,
Kyle Teal.
Teal, that's it. I knew it was something like that. it's a risk for a kid who's never really gone past 170 innings in a year, and he's going to be your ace. And there's ways that trade goes wrong, and then you factor in everything that came out at the end of last year when people were trying to trade for him, and he came out and said what he said, and teams were like, "We're good here. Like we're not doing this anymore." But again, that division's loaded. I mean, the Yankees obviously are always the Yankees. Baltimore, obviously, with their kids coming up now, they're I want to say up and coming. They're going to be a perennial contender now. And then you have Toronto, Boston, and Tampa, who, I mean, if you're the front office of those teams, you have to figure out a way to make your team better and keep pace with those teams. It's going to be another year where it's going to be a really brutal division. It's going to be a hard division.
Anything else Major League Baseball related that we want to talk about? Kyle Tucker going to Chicago.
I mean,
the Phillies offered him Alec Bowman and Nick Castellanos, and they said no.
We don't know if that's confirmed. That was one of those things. If they did this, would you do it? Type thing. It's kind of a head scratcher for me if I'm Houston, if I'm being honest, because you're essentially possibly you now traded Kyle Tucker and
lose Bregman,
and you're probably still going to lose Bregman. I mean that is you're taking 180 RBIs and probably damn near the same number in runs off the board. That is two enormous holes, not easy to fill. So I don't know what's going on in Houston. I was surprised at that trade for them. And I mean Chicago. I mean, if you look at Chicago, if you're in their eyes, they upgraded. I mean, Kyle Tucker's a better hitter than Cody Bellinger at this point. So I mean, they got better.
Sports Illustrated reported that trade, though. It wasn't like it was like just a speculation trade.
I mean, I don't know. I think
it would have been a great trade for us. We got Kyle Tucker for Bowman Castellanos. I'd have been happy with that. Of course, I would have been happy with that. You guys know my opinion is of Bowman Castellanos, but.
No, I mean, now it's like I said, you got to see where Corbin falls, see where Bregman signs, and then after that, obviously you're going to start. Then I think the trades will start really kind of picking up steam a little bit. And again, Houston, trying to get a trade in place for Arenado today tells me that they're not going to pay
Bregman.
They're not paying Bregman. So I don't know what Houston's doing. That they're going to take a step backwards for sure next year.
I think the Phillies did everything they could to try to trade Bohm so they could sign Bregman, and it didn't work.
Well, I'm happy about that then.
We'll see.
You prefer Bohm over Bregman, Bill?
All day.
He's
5 years younger, and his numbers were better last year, and he missed 30 games. It's easy. And he cost a 12th of what Alex Bregman's going to cost for the next 2 years. Pretty simple.
Except in the postseason when it matters.
Bregman hasn't done shit since the season. He knew what was coming. So,
all right. Well, I guess we'll find out. Hopefully the Phillies move on from Alec Bohm. I think he's soft. You guys know what my opinion is on Alec Bohm. Let's talk about NBA Cup real quick. NBA Cup happened last night.
Speaking of things that nobody cares about.
Exactly. Yeah, I could not be less interested this year in the NBA Cup. Milwaukee beat Oklahoma City last night. Now, was the interest because it was the second year and it was never really going to be that good of a cup, or is it because LeBron wasn't in the Cup Finals?
I think the NBA in general as a whole is a problem right now.
Huge problem.
I think it's a lot of. I think it's a lot of the style of play. I think it's a lot of, and again, I don't want to tell anybody what they can say, what they can't say. I think a lot of it is you get both sides of politics from some of these guys, and I think a lot of people just want to watch basketball and watch good basketball. And I don't think the product is great right now. I think other people are just tired of hearing about the BS. So
I don't think it's the politics. I really don't, because politics. I don't think that's it.
I think the ratings were great.
What?
I said the bubble ratings were great.
Correct.
Even right after the bubble.
But what I will say is, I think that the league.
But you're not looking at the bubble ratings were great because half the people couldn't leave their house and they had nothing else to watch.
But even the year after that, it was still like, even as the world was opening back up, the ratings were fine.
I'll tell you what I think the real issue is with the NBA, and we'll have our own discussion. But I think the NBA is lacking a face of the league, a star. That's
multiple.
Yeah,
they're lacking a ton of those guys. Like, you want it to be Ant, you want it to be Ja, and like Ant just, I mean, Minnesota's just right now. Obviously, Ja's had his off the court issues, and Shea's been playing great, but Shea's not the kind of guy that you want to build your league on. Like, I think you kind of see what the NBA was trying to do by having that starting five documentary with Netflix, like following around Jason Tatum, like following around Ant, like following around these guys. Of course, like, LeBron, Sabonis, and Butler as well. But like you're trying to follow around these guys to build that fandom and build that audience. But there's no one to attach it to. Like, when LeBron plays, obviously people want to watch LeBron versus Steph. When Steph's playing KD, people want to watch those matchups. As great as SGA is, and as great as Giannis is, that's not what's going to bring you in to watch these games. And I think the bigger issue is that the NBA is so focused on trying to bring in as much revenue as possible and things like that. It is so hard to find, for a lot of people, find your local team playing on TV. Like, it should never be this hard to try and watch a Cavs game or a Sixers game or, some of these other small market teams. So I think if they can figure out that problem, if you want to get your money, fine. Put everybody on Amazon or, one of these easy streaming platform, put everybody on HBO Max or whatever, where you make it super easy, where you can just go on there. But if I'm paying $80, $90, $100 a month for YouTube TV or some of these other streaming platforms, and I can't watch my local team play basketball, and then chances are, even if I get Game Pass, they might not even be on there. Like, it's just absolutely wild how the NBA is done with their marketing for a league that used to be so good at marketing towards their fans.
But see, and you're right, and the torch passing just hasn't happened. Here's what I'm talking about. You went from Bird to Magic for the real start of the wave of the NBA, saving the NBA. Then you went right to Michael Jordan. Then you went to Kobe, Shaq, passed it to LeBron, who kind of held it with Curry for a little bit. But LeBron, Curry, now LeBron, Curry is at the end of their realm. Who are they passing it to? Who is that guy that could be the face of the league? That could be that guy. And it should be Luka, or it should be Jokic, or it should be, and the European stars just aren't huge American stars in the media. It just is what it is, right? It should be Ant, it should be Tatum, it should be Shea, it should be Ja. But none of them are taking the bull by the horns and actually being that superstar that makes people go to see TV. Makes people must see TV. There's no one generational. Just that's what it is.
See, I disagree with that. I mean, I think all those guys you just named, I mean, not all of them, but I mean, Giannis is a generational player.
Yes.
I mean, Tatum could end up being. Luka is a generational player. Joker definitely is. I mean, I'll tell you this, and I heard this argument, and the more I thought about it, I think it's part of it too. I'm not saying it's a huge reason. Somebody said, the regular season games in the NBA mean so little now because however many people get in at the end of the year, like, you really don't have to start watching until the last month of the season. And I think there's some credence to that too. I think, you're putting in, over half the league in the playoffs. So,
10 teams.
Yeah. So, I mean, why is the NFL great? Because every week matters. And obviously you can't play an 80-game NFL season. Don't get me wrong. I'm not comparing that. But my point is, when you're letting in 2/3 of the league into the playoffs, do I have to watch if I miss a Tuesday night game, is it the end of the world? No. I'll either watch them on Thursday or Friday, or, if they're TNT the following week in their national game. But if I know, if I'm a Boston fan, do I have to sit there and watch every game? No, I know my team's going to make the playoffs. My team's going to win the conference. I think you're seeing a lot of that, and you look at the numbers. A lot of the bigger markets where you would expect strong viewership is a little bit down, because I think those people are just like, I don't need to revolve my nightly viewing around this team because I know they're going to make the playoffs.
Well, you're right. If you look at the top 7 markets in the NBA right now, I'm not trying to be smart. Boston fans know their team's going to make the playoffs, but they still tune in. LA fans hired the same song and dance in LA. They're literally just a beaten down 7, 8, 9, 10 seed. That's what they are. Philadelphia fans are fed up with what's going on with Joel Embiid. Chicago fans haven't been engaged for years. Miami Heat fans are not engaged right now. Like the top New York Knicks fans are actually up this year regular season, but other than the New York Knicks, there's not a huge fan base in the NBA that's up, that's doing well as far as their mainstay fan bases.
Yeah.
Just that's accurate.
I mean, I think the other issue too is that, you talk about these games and, them not mattering to an extent. I mean, I think that's part of it, but I also think the other part of it is if I know that, Joel Embiid is playing on Monday, and then I know the Sixers and the Celtics have the primetime game on Tuesday, and I know Joel's not playing because they're coming off a back-to-back, and, Jason Tatum's not playing because, he's played 3 games in a row at this point, or, just something wild like that. I'm not going to be inclined to say, oh, let me go turn on the TV and make sure that I see these guys play. So, I mean, I think that's a big part of it. I think the NBA needs to – a couple of things I think the NBA could do to make it interesting. If you want to add in this stupid cup in the middle of the season, shorten the season. Make it, cup games don't matter towards records or whatever, towards the regular season. Shorten the season, 65, 66 games, whatever your magic number is going to be, shorten into that. And then – put in the CBA, if guys don't want to play and they're not actually hurt, if it's just this load management stuff that obviously every NBA fan absolutely hates, take their game checks away. Put that in the CBA. If they're not playing with an actual disclosed injury, take that money away. You will start to see more players play.
No, you have to start. You can't do that. You have to game checks. Has to be game checks. As opposed to
that's what I'm saying. If they don't disclose.
My point being is they all have. Every NBA player, my back hurt. Like everyone can say that.
Yeah, it gets dicey. And even to Cottrell's point, the vice versa is the same way. Like if Philly's playing Boston on Tuesday night on TNT, but the Sixers are playing Monday night, Joel Embiid's not playing that game. Yep. And Paul George probably is. So why the hell am I sitting down watching that game? I'll watch the Tuesday game, but I'm not going to bother with the Monday night. I'm going to go do something else.
And to add on to that, bro, what they're doing with the NBA All-Star game is just cancel it.
Just be done. It's worse. Dude, I never thought we would sit on here and say something's worse than football, and it is worse than football at this point.
It's so bad.
It's just don't do it. Just give everybody a
the Rising Stars team is going to be one of the 4 8-man teams. Like,
I will say the Rising Stars is going to be one of those teams this year. I don't know. Obviously, talent-wise, they won't stack up, but they're going to actually try hard to beat one of those teams.
Bro, it's just so bad the way
it is.
It's such a bad – and, guys, I'll go back to my point. They needed someone, and I won't bash LeBron, but they needed someone to care about the All-Star game that leads the league. Someone that could be, like – no one gives
in his defense, though, like how much longer does he have to hang around? And like, how much longer does he have to wait?
Oh, I'm not talking about LeBron now.
For one of these guys to jump up and be like, "Yo, I'm the guy." I mean, listen, I mean, we criticize a lot of people for a lot of things, but I mean, the man's done enough. Like, and I mean that sincerely. Like, it's not on him. Like, and again, Steph, like you said earlier, Steph's on the back end. Yep. Like, it's like what, like somebody, like anybody. And you know what the worst part is? It could be Joel, but he's an asshole. Like, and like it's the truth. Like, but I mean, like Tatum, Tatum doesn't have the personality to be that guy. He's not charismatic. That's just not who he is.
And has that personality.
He's got to win, though. He's got to win.
He's got to win, or he's got to get out of Minnesota. It's got to be one or the other. He's got. I agree. If you get Ant to like New York, then that's your guy. That's your dude. Like he will be plastered everywhere. That's your guy. But you got to do one or the other. Like a child, you either got to win a title and then be like, all right, cool. Like he's supplanted himself now. Like he's got a title.
I don't want to go too far because we got to get. You got to be kidding me. Do you guys have really good? You got to be kidding me this week because there's like 5.
Yeah, I got one.
A good one.
For sure.
Okay. I know what yours is. You told me earlier.
Yeah.
Do you have a good one? Really good.
I do have a good one. I just don't feel like it's like it's a Christmas show. I don't feel like getting into it. I'm trying to stay positive.
I hope that you're going to say the situation that happened with the Time magazine because that
is mine.
Do it. That's fine. Let's get into You Gotta Be Kidding Me now. because that is the most absurd. Oh God, I can't. Please, let's go. You got to be kidding me.
All right, so this week, just to stick on topic of basketball here, I am going on the hardwood, and I am going to Charlotte. So Charlotte Hornets this past week, every NBA team, they do their fan giveaways on the court or whatever, and because it was Christmas, they were in the mood to give away a gift. So they brought a little kid. They had Santa mid court. They brought the little kid out and. They had the mic, they were talking to him, and the kid's like, yeah, I wanted a PS5. And they're like, you know what? You wanted a PS5? Well, we got a PS5 to give you. They bring out the PS5. The kid's holding it up like he's shocked. He's so happy. Quite literally, as soon as the camera's cut off, they go up to the kid as they're back on the sidelines. They take the PS5 away from him. They give him a Charlotte Hornets jersey and say, thanks for playing. Enjoy the jersey. Like that is in the Christmas season, that is sacrilegious to do. So of course, the people that were actually at the Hornets game, they got videos of it, and they go on Twitter. Everyone's tagging the Hornets, and the Hornets come out and say, "Hey, you know what? We really screwed this one up. We messed up." They owned it. To their defense, they owned it. They didn't make any excuses. Absolutely owned it. They said, "We're going to get this kid his PS5. We're going to also get him a VIP package to come back for a Hornets game." But I mean, how tone deaf can you be a week before Christmas, giving a young kid a PS5 and then saying, you know what, actually, you can't really have this. We'll just give you this jersey that we print millions of every year and call it a day. So this week for me, the Charlotte Hornets organization.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Such a good one.
All right. I'm gonna keep it in basketball. We're gonna go talk about the women though. Time magazine came out. I guess it was this week, earlier last week, and named Caitlin Clark Time Athlete of the Year. I don't think it should be a surprise to anybody, with what she's done for the WNBA and and all the good things going forward and in regards to TV deals, TV viewership, all that good stuff. Sheila Johnson then went on ESPN and did an interview where she, we'll use the word criticize. She pretty much trashed the decision that time for using Caitlin Clark. She said everybody in the league should have been, on the cover, or should have been, more black players from the league. Yada yada yada. Go down the list. Now to give you a little bit of background on Sheila Johnson. You think Sheila Johnson, for what she's done in her life, and she is a uber successful person, mind you. She's the first female black millionaire in the history, or billionaire in the history of the country. You would think somebody who's gone through the things that she's gone through about trying to opening doors and shatter glass and shatter ceilings and doing things as a woman, which in the corporate world, was not an easy thing for her to do. She would understand what Caitlin Clark has done for the league. Now, mind you, she's also the co-owner of the Washington Mystics. The Washington Mystics, the 3 games that Indiana Fever played in Washington last year, they had to move arenas all 3 times. And those 3 games that Caitlin Clark came to town accounted for 31% of her home attendance this year. You want to say Angel Reese should have got a little bit more publicity, or Cameron Brink or somebody else, I would have been fine with that. Angel Reese, again, in her own mind, in her own right, moves the needle. Does she move to Caitlin Clark's level? Not even close. It's just not. All the numbers are out there now. You can go look them up. Viewership, attendance, blah, blah, blah. It's astronomical what the girl has done for the game. Caitlin Clark, in her own right, said, I couldn't have done this without all my teammates, with all the other, the people that came before me, and obviously with, the African-American players in the league. She said everything she could say right. This lady still goes on ESPN and trashes her. I will give one person credit. One person on ESPN with a lot of clout called it exactly for what it was, and that's Michael Wilbon. It's the second time he's done it. All this crap now, it's become racist, and that's what it is. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care if it makes you uncomfortable. there are certain people in the league that don't like Caitlin Clark because she's white and because she's white. What that girl is doing and has already done for the league is making everybody more money. Obviously making all the owners a ton more money. And she's not trying to do anything in the wrong way. She's trying to play basketball. That's all she's trying to do. If Caitlin Clark would have came out and said something derogatory or something else anywhere along the way, I'd understand it. I would. But Caitlin Clark has said the right thing. She's done the right thing. Angel Reese has gotten the attention. And again, if you want to argue that she should have got more attention, I'll even listen to that. She's a great player in her own right. I'm not arguing any of it. The trashing, Gene said this earlier in the year, the trashing of one person, trying to bring down the one person to make somebody else look better or to prove a point, that's like, just in general, this isn't even a sports thing. It's the shit we need to get away from. It is. Like, I don't know why you can't just be happy that your league is going to be better and just give Caitlin her credit and then still continue to work to make sure Angel Reese gets more TV time.
You don't think it should have been the League of the Year, Bill?
I can't even know.
My Magazine League of the Year.
Yeah.
That's what we should have called it. I was like, what are we doing?
Yeah. So it's for me, the whole thing just stunk. And again, it took a really great moment for what should have been the WNBA as a whole, not just Caitlin Clark. Yep. Damn, we have we not even female. We have the Athlete of the Year by Time Magazine. Our league, again, to Gene's point, our league, if you want to be honest, was pretty much the talk of the town the entire year. The entire year. Go rewind to 2023. You can ask me, you can ask Gene, you can ask Cottrell. Nobody thought we were going to get to the point where we were with the WNBA. Everybody talks about the WNBA now. WNBA is the lead story on SportsCenter half the nights when they're in season. That never happened before, ever. You have all these things, all these boundaries they're breaking together as a league, and you keep wanting to tear down the person that's just trying to help and play basketball. So for me, Sheila Johnson, total trash move. You got to be kidding me this week.
Come on, you got to be kidding me.
All righty. I have something I want to share.
Uh-oh.
See if I can pull this up here. Oh, I can't pull it up. I have the video. I'm trying to pull it up. Let me see if it works when I do this. One more time. If it doesn't work, I'm just going to give it away. Window. Got it. I think this should work. You guys see that? We're good?
Yep.
All right.
Idea of nobody you coming in here and like, I always thought, like, what do we learn playing the game where we win by 20? But there's a methodology to it. And I'm going to have to adjust moving forward.
So Doug Gottlieb called a Division II opponent Nobody University. And I'm going to stop my share here. But Doug Gottlieb's had a really bad week, if you didn't know. But calls him Nobody U. And what do we learn by beating a team by 20? And then goes out there and loses to the team. They lost. Okay. Then he gets on to Twitter, and I don't understand why he's arguing with Adam Schefter. But Adam Schefter is talking about a player, Michael Vick, possibly going to Sacramento State to coach and them getting $50 million in NIL. And Doug Gottlieb's 0% chance that's happening, and blah, blah, blah. And Adam Schefter absolutely caught a body right afterwards. Doug, you should worry about your team being 2-11 in the Horizon League. Less talking on Twitter, more coaching in the gym. Doug Gottlieb's had a really tough week, and how you go out there and say, what do we gain by playing Nobody U, and then go out and lose to the team? Not your best showing, Doug. So for that this week, Doug Gottlieb.
Come on, you got to be kidding me.
That was fun. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
I got nothing. Oh, John brings up a good one though. Devondre, yeah, I mean, I know we kind of alluded to it before, but Devondre Campbell walking off is definitely a good one. And I applaud what John Lynch did too. Could have took the easy way out and just cut him like how a lot of other people would have did. They said, nope, you know what? We're just going to suspend you. We're going to get some of your signing bonus back. And now you can't play for anybody for the rest of the year. Like, that is a brilliant move by John Lynch.
Great job, John. And Devondre Campbell is such a softie for that. Guys, I want to next week will be the first Wednesday that we are not on air since we started. That's an accomplishment in itself. We won't be missing show 220. Me and Shally will be doing a show 220. We'll post it on the page. I think it's going to be Thursday night, but we'll post it on the page. But we want to wish everybody out there a happy, healthy, Merry Christmas. We'll have a Christmas show, which will be probably the day after Christmas. But Cottrell will be away. We'll be missing him. He's going on his Christmas cruise this year or vacation, wherever he's going. Love that you do that, man. Have Merry Christmas to you and your family, to Audia, to Tiny, to everybody that listens to the show. Any final thoughts, Cottrell? I know you won't be here next week.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just echo a lot of the same sentiments. Definitely will be different. Obviously, I feel like this is a yearly occurrence for me. I just might as well just pencil it in. I won't be here for the Christmas show. But with that said, though, I know you guys are going to kill it next week, and got a lot of football to go over. I'm sure I'll be in the comments. If long as the connection's holding stable over there, but definitely want to wish everybody Merry Christmas, and I'll make sure I'll be locked in next week, because I'm sure you guys will have a lot to say after Indiana beats Notre Dame.
Love that.
Oh boy.
Any final thoughts, Shally?
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, 219 straight Wednesday. It's kind of wild, but in a good way. And then obviously, to Gene's family, Cottrell, obviously stay safe, have a good trip. I'll get to send you off on Saturday morning though, so I won't waste a ton of time on you here. But no, listen, I mean, my message is always the same for this time of year. Really enjoy and embrace the people that you're with. It's the best time of year, but it's also the hardest time of year for some people. There'll be people going through their first Christmas without loved ones. If you know any of those people, just reach out, say hi, can mean the world to them. But we get to do something fun here and talk about sports and do all that stuff. And, sports is definitely still a part of, even more so each and every year, it becomes more ingrained in holidays with Thanksgiving and Christmas. But as much as I would love to sit there and watch football, and stuff like that, make sure, you sit down and really embrace the time you have with your family and your loved ones, and enjoy the spirit, and, really consider and unplug and focus on, what this day really means to you and your family and everybody that you're going to be with. So, because that is really what matters. I know we all love football and everything else, don't get me wrong, but spending the day with your loved ones is definitely the most important thing, because unfortunately, you never know when you will have the last Christmas with certain people. So enjoy it, embrace it. Don't take it for granted, and have fun and eat a bunch of good food, and hope Santa brings everybody good presents.
Appreciate all you guys. Thank you very much for tuning in to Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. It's episode 219. I'm the NFL genius, Sheen Walzak. That's Kent State's own, Cleveland's own College Cottrell, Scholastic Shally, Uncle Shally, Mr. Bill Shawcross. We are signing out.